All right, let's get this ball rolling. We're gonna go in three, two, one, and we're live.
What's
John Paul
up?
Rivas, how you doing?
Wow, honestly, people don't really call me John Paul Rivas. It's usually JP, but yeah, no, pretty good, man. How you doing?
I am doing amazing. We're gonna have another technical fix here because the webcams got moved. That's gonna be a quick fix.
No worries.
I am gonna get that fixed. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people who don't really know that much about you.
Um, as Taylor just mentioned, I am John Paul Rivas. I usually go by JP. I introduce myself as JP. I live in Texas. I am trying to chase my dreams as a photographer, whether that being portraiture or landscape, where I'm mostly my heart's drawn to, or just photos of my dog. Honestly, in really pretty places.
Yeah,
Very
and
thrilled.
I know your dog's kind of laying on your lap there. The way that the webcam is cropped a little bit, I'm trying to get it to include him, so I'm having a little bit of a. It's not your problem, it's mine right now. So I'm gonna get that fixed. Slowly getting that pup in there.
Right on. He's past BFL. He is gone. He is RIP. RIP Bentley.
How old is your dog now?
He's gonna be 9 in September. Like that's kind of scary to me because I
9?
got him. Yeah, 9. I got him when I was 18, fresh out of high school.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. I don't think either of us had any idea of where we'd be in 9 years from then. Like I don't think I
Yeah.
had clue that I'd be going on road trips with my dog. It's always been kind of like a dream of mine to have a dog or just be with animals and
Yeah.
have that as a big part of my life. And I'm just so grateful and lucky that I have
Oh,
found
for
such a cool
sure, for
dog.
sure. And one
And he's
that's
my
been like really good on trips with you. I've seen, all these pictures with your dog in there, and it seems like it's a perfect fit between you two.
It really feels like it. Like honestly, and I'd do anything for this dog. Actually, took him to the vet's office today because he has some teeth that need to be removed,
Yeah.
and just like I guess like having them examined and give me a quote and all that. It's kind of scary because it's like I got to be able to afford this. He's my responsibility, and
Yeah.
I still feel like I'm back to being that 18-year-old kid who just adopted this dog who barely made me. So, but I mean, it'll happen. I'll take care of it. He's my responsibility, and I love him. I'd do anything for him. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I had two dogs that were 14 and 16,
Wow.
and we had to put them down.
Aw.
It was like a year and a half ago now.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
yeah, easily the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my entire life, bar
I bet.
none.
I bet.
Bar
What kind of
none.
dogs do you have?
They were both beagles. So one was the 16-year-old was actually the mom of the 14-year-old. So all they
Wow.
knew were each other's. But we ended up putting them down at the exact same time. Um,
Oh,
they both had different problems that were just affecting their quality of life at that point, and we just didn't want to, have them go through that for any longer than they already had. So, all right, I think I got it fixed now. Perfect.
nice.
Sweet. So yeah, let's talk about more about your dog because I know Bentley is his name, right?
Yeah, Bentley.
Now, so what kind of went through the process of how the name got set up? Is it just based on like the car, or is there more to it?
It's funny because that's the name he was given from his previous owners. He actually adopted Bentley. I'm like the second person who's adopted him. So his
Okay.
first previous, they were I want to say they were much older than I was, but not too old. I want to say they're like in their early 20s, maybe even mid 20s, and they had adopted him or bought him from a breeder, and no longer could keep him. And a friend of mine was like, hey, like I used to work at Toys R Us way back in the day. That's like
Okay.
one of my first, like seasonal part-time jobs, whatever. And I had just recently like lost my Great Dane, my dog that I had before Bentley, and
Okay.
my Great Dane was about 6 months old. He was like my Bentley at the time before Bentley was my Bentley,
Hmm.
and he was stolen from my yard, and I
Oh
was really
God.
heartbroken. Yeah, and I was very heartbroken. And a coworker of mine was like, "Hey, I have some friends who I can't, keep their dog. One of them's in the military. He's gonna be deployed overseas, and they just can't keep him anymore. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want him. I literally was like, I don't want him. I want Great Dane, you know. And she's like, just give him a chance. And she showed me a picture of him. He had the cutest little like fluffy like just butt, you know. Like oh my god, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll meet him and see how if we connect, you know. And I met him. I went to their apartment, and you know they were I guess like showing me like he loves to play with this like little stuffed animals, and he was fetching, and I was like, this dog is so cute. I'm like, I cannot believe these people can't keep him. I feel so bad that they can't keep him, you know. So eventually it was just to the point where I was like, you know what? Yes, I'll take him. I'll bring him home into my life.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, his name's Bentley. He responded to the name. I just didn't want to confuse them. My dogs are pretty smart, and they will adapt. But I was like, you know what? I'm not creative enough for changing into it. I mean, I probably wouldn't have named him any better. So.
No, I mean, it seems like it's worked out really well for both parties. So you said the first dog before Bentley, you said it was a Great Dane?
Yeah.
You're saying that someone stole I mean, Great Danes are huge dogs, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so how that happened was my Great Dane, he was the runt of the litter. So he was already kind of smaller than all of his siblings, all of his litter mates. He was born in like June, July, and he was like stolen from my yard the week of like Christmas later that year. So that's like
timing.
Happy, right? So like December 2020, I want to say is he was in my yard, and someone just, I guess either he came up and took him, or he might have wandered out, and he might have just gotten picked up by someone.
Jeez.
He did have a collar. He did have just like, you know, a name tag with my identification on there. But he was a purebred Great Dane puppy, and I'm assuming whoever found him was like solid find, you know. So,
hell yeah,
I mean,
a purebred Great Dane.
Right? I mean, I don't know. It broke my heart, and I was so
Definitely.
devastated. At the time I was 18, like I said, so I was in high school. I didn't really have much of a plan as far as where my life was going to go and all that. So it was definitely very heartbreaking for me, and it was it pretty much helped heal my heart, you know, from losing my Great Dane.
Oh yeah. So it was still a puppy at the time?
He was, yes. He was only like 6 months old. His name was Lexington.
Lexington.
Yeah.
Damn. I mean, that's so that's probably why. So because like a Great Dane to me, I'm like, this gigantic animal. How does someone steal a gigantic thing? Okay, I mean, if it's a puppy, it makes a lot more sense. But like, still, either way, that's
he was
absolutely
a big puppy.
Terrible.
It was definitely a big puppy. And like I remember, like later that night, like what happened was my parents had contacted me. They called me. They're like, "Hey, is Lex with you?" And I'm like, "No, he's home." You know, and they're like, "He's not here." And I'm like, "How? Like, how is he not home?" At the time, he was like Bentley. He would go with me everywhere. I would take him to friends' houses. I would take him up and down like to parks and stuff like that. So wherever I was, he was pretty much sure to always be with as well.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yeah, no, he's not here." And so me and my friends who I was with all raced to my parents' house, and we like kind of like started like searching around the house, calling his name, going like I guess it was like super late, you know. So it was already nighttime. I couldn't really go to neighbors' houses or anything like that. I was gonna wait until the next day.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like calling, seeing if he was like just like wandered out and like, you know, just out there in the wild and in the streets. I had no clue, you know, where he could have gone. So I decided to give it a shot. And some friends and I, we went looking. We went like I want to say good like half a mile away from my house. And the weirdest thing,
half a mile.
We were like pretty far out there. Where I live, we live out in the country. My parents do, and so it's just like wide open spaces and all that. So we like wandered about a half a mile away, and we noticed this car kind of just like, or this truck just kind of like sitting in this driveway with its lights on, and we're like, okay, kind of weird, and then started like driving towards us a little bit suspiciously. And so my friends and I don't know why we thought that we were being followed or whatever, but we hid in some like bushes, hoping for this car to go away, and it drove away. Back, and they kind of kept doing like this back and forth looking for it. Oh, we thought it was looking for us. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I just remember that was being like one of the scariest nights because like I was looking for, you know, my puppy. And, you know, I thought we were all being about to be murdered. So that was definitely a roller coaster for sure.
Oh, I would not doubt it. I had a similar experience. Well, it wasn't where my dogs were like stolen or anything, but they had gotten out and we didn't know where either of them were. they were probably like, man, I would say like 12 and 14 at the time.
Wow.
Molly, the mom, was pretty heavy at that point, so I knew she couldn't run that far if she was gonna be running. We found her right along Legacy Drive, if you know where that is, like right near, in between Alma and Custer. She was
Yes, I
like
do.
right along the road there, which is really near where the home was. And then we couldn't find Maggie though, because Maggie was much more. She wasn't in shape, but she was much more in shape and 2 years younger. Um, and we couldn't find her for like hours upon hours, and we eventually I eventually we were going inside the house, um, just to kind of, I don't remember what we were doing. We were getting something only to like go back out and search more, and I saw that there was an unknown number calling my mom's phone, and
Oh
I
wow.
like raced it to my mom. I was like, this number isn't programmed in your phone. It ended up being someone who had Maggie in their car.
Wow.
I think what ended up happening is like I left the neighborhood to go to Legacy, and then I looked right, and I didn't look left, but I looked right and just started like running down the sidewalk. And I think that if I would have looked left, I probably would have seen her, but I didn't look left. I just looked right. But I mean, it obviously, luckily for us, that ended in a kind of a good note, I guess you could say. But that was probably the closest we came to losing either one of them, was that moment.
Wow.
I remember getting Maggie out of the car that evening, and she was beyond like scared, like shivering down to the bone, like petrified. Because she was
Aw.
probably like, who the hell are these people? They picked me up and put me in their car. I didn't even ask them for like their insurance information. Like, I don't know who, like, come on. Um, yeah, so that was pretty scary. It was like, I almost was starting to get that feeling of like sad acceptance, like we're never going to find her. And like,
Heart.
right when
Yeah.
that feeling started sinking in, about 15 minutes later, that's when that phone call came in. So that was very fortunate, I would say, that we had some people that were nice enough to pick her up, and luckily that they were able to pick her up, because Maggie was very kind of skitterish.
Okay.
She wouldn't really. She was very kind of like scared of a lot of things.
Okay.
She would be one of those dogs that would like bark at another dog, and if it like even just walked one casual step toward her, she would freak out.
Wow.
So I'm surprised they were able to get her. Um,
Yeah. No kidding.
yeah, but that was easily the closest that we got to losing one of them. Molly was just, she was so big at that point. She was one of those dogs that like she had puppies, and then like she never really like lost her puppy weight. She just kind of stayed that size like for the rest of her life. So, but Molly was probably the best dog that I will ever have. Like I still to this day, I'm like, I want to get another dog, and then I'm like, I'm not ready yet.
I
And
feel that.
it's
Yeah.
been like a year and a half.
I feel that. 100%.
Yeah,
I'm so excited. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's weird, but I mean, even through tragedy, you ended up with something amazing with your dog. I mean, who would have known if that Great Dane would have grown up, and if it would have been as good of a fit as Bentley's been for you with your travels and stuff like that. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I wanna know more about how this whole journey of yours started. Like, has it always been something that you've been super into, or is it something like, was there something like specific that like sparked the interest? Like, walk me through it.
Um, okay, well, I don't know. Like, I guess when I first got my truck, my first vehicle, I had kind of, I guess, like a fear of driving. Um, I don't know if you knew, but like back in high school, I've always had really bad anxiety. Like, it's been something that I've dealt with since I was a kid. I was like 9 years old, having my first panic attack, not knowing what that was. I didn't know what a panic
At
attack was.
9?
Yeah, my first panic
Wow.
attack was at 9. Yeah, and it's like it was such a traumatic experience. I remember like all the details. I remember how old I was, what season it was, and it was not fun. And like that really, I guess, like had a definite negative effect on me as a person, is dealing with my anxiety and all that for sure.
Right.
But so yeah, in high school I was really bad at separation. Not well, yeah, separation anxiety. I had really bad anxiety. I mean, to the point where I want to say I was out of school for like a good portion. I think of like the last like semester like of senior year. I just wasn't at school. I couldn't even get out of my room without having a panic attack. I was having a panic attack, but having a panic attack because I was overthinking. Just not the funnest
Yeah.
experience ever. And so when I first got my car, I didn't really go far. I didn't really go far at all. I had a friend who went to UNT, and that's in Denton. If
Yeah.
anyone who knows how far Denton is from Plano, it's not necessarily like a long drive, but it's for someone who's never driven past like maybe like their grandma's house. That's a new adventure, So for
Yeah.
me, like friends who moved to Denton, I was like, oh well, I'll never see you again. Like
Yeah.
now thinking about it, it's like okay, Denton's not bad. I could do that like a million times in a day. Just yeah,
Right.
totally. But I don't know. I kind of realized I had I kind of always I mean, growing up, my parents always went on road trips, and I would love that. I guess like that adventure, that funness of just kind of like hitting the road, going to a new place. But I mean, with my anxiety, it was just very, very difficult for me to, I guess, find the courage and muster up the self, I guess, like awareness that I was capable of being able to do what I want to do. And I mean, there were so many, I guess like minor experiences I would say that pushed me to being able to do what I do as far as like going on journeys by myself. I would say one of the biggest influences was I went to Austin for a reggae festival. Like I want
Okay.
to say when I was like what 19, 20, not even
Yeah.
yeah, I want to say 19 or 20. And this is probably the farthest I've ever been away from home without family members, just me and like two friends and my dog. It was like the most unexpected just adventure ever, and it was something that we all like I never knew could happen. And so for me, Austin was kind of like this gateway of, oh, I want to go on a road trip to Austin, 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 because it's
Yeah.
it's that sense of getting out, leaving whatever problems I had behind, my anxiety, my depression, whatever, just my problems, just leaving it all behind and going to a city that no one knows my name. I can be whoever I want to be, and it was like a very like, just humbling experience to know that it's like I was a nobody in everybody's eyes because no one knew who I was, but at the same
Yeah.
time I could be whoever I wanted to be, and that's when I started being mostly myself,
Yeah.
and being able to I guess like just get out of town and go even just to Austin, 3 hour, 4 hour drive.
Sure.
You drive,
Yeah.
you drive like me, you're gonna be there like 3.5 hours, whatever. Eventually, I've always like I guess like loved the idea of cross country road tripping. Just even friends or whatever. The idea was just very, I guess like prominent in my mind of I want to go here and I want to go there, but I never really thought of that I'd be fully capable just because how bad my anxiety was.
Yeah.
Going to a new place, I had at the time when I had my first vehicle, just going anywhere, I had to like print out directions on my mom's computer and like had like a bunch of like papers of like how to get to a certain friend's house because at the time we didn't have
Yeah.
GPS like on our phones or anything like that. So stuff like that gave me so much anxiety. Another thing that I wanted to say is when I was 20, 21. Wow, okay. I feel so old saying that. When I was
Yeah.
went to a movie with a friend, and we saw this movie called The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I don't know if you've seen it,
Secret
heard
Life
of
of
it.
what?
Walter Mitty.
I don't think I have seen that.
It's, in my opinion, it's one of my favorite movies. It's with Ben Stiller. He like directed, produced it, or whatever, and he stars in it as like the main character. Basically, what the movie is about is this guy who works for Life magazine. He has to, I guess, like get some photos printed out, like from this, like I guess, like famous photographer who goes out, shoots on film, and sends them back to him. So he's got to print them out for the magazine, and so he spends most of his life working for this company, printing out like I guess like all these awesome locations and pretty photos that this dude who's really living out, his dream, and he's kind of just content, working in his little office, or not office, his little lab, printing out everything, all the film, and
Yeah.
then putting it on there. And it was very eye-opening because in the movie he daydreams a lot, and I tend to find myself daydreaming a lot, especially in high school. Like I'd never focus in class. I'd always be daydreaming, looking out the window or just drawing in a notebook. And that really resonated with me because further in the movie, he stopped daydreaming so much because he was out living his life, chasing his dreams and he was trying to basically find this photographer because he realized he was missing some film of a specific photo that he needs to print out, but it turns out the photographer might have had the photo on him.
Yeah.
So he had to go track him down, like in Greenland, Iceland, whatever, and go halfway across the world and like, I don't know, just to me that was like there was like this deep resonating sense of just realization that I felt this connection with, I guess, that movie, that character, and I was like, wow, like he stopped daydreaming because he was living out chasing his dreams. Maybe I should stop daydreaming and live out and chase my dreams as well.
That's really cool. So it basically evolved from like so it started with the Austin trip, and then that kind of like was like the little like embers of a campfire, and then like the match that lit everything was like this movie that you related to the main character, and then from there it was kind of like the beginning of it all.
Basically, honestly, yeah.
That's really cool.
And from there, it's like I got into photography. I mean, I've always been kind of into photography, but I had like a little small point-and-shoot camera. I never really took it seriously. It wasn't until like this movie I was like, wow, maybe I could actually like pursue like photography, or whatever. At the time, I was working at Starbucks, and I had just left to work at this call center job because I was thinking I was gonna make more money. I can make more money. I could do more things that I wanted to do. And I realized I hated this job. I hated it. Not fun. And I would brainstorm while I was at work. I taking calls. I would brainstorm. I'd be like, what would I rather be doing? I'd rather be doing art and like being out in nature, like 100%. And that's when I realized that's what I wanted to be. When I wanted to chase my dreams as a photographer, as an outdoor landscape adventure photographer. And I'm still chasing it. It's been 4 years in the making, and I'm still chasing it. But I don't think that's something that you ever fully stop chasing. That's not something that you hit the finish line and you're over.
It's just gonna be one of those things that is like instead of something that has like an end goal, it's just something that you're always doing. There's no like finish line for it. It's just something that you honestly like wouldn't want to be finished because you want to keep exploring these new places, or like you'll explore a place the first time and then you'll be like, I'm gonna go there the second time because I want to check it out at this different time. Like maybe you go in the winter instead of like the spring or the summer, and like you get something completely brand new out of it. So after the Austin trip, which you said was for like a reggae festival, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So after you go and see the movie, when this all starts resonating in a more impactful way, what was like the first big trip?
So I would say for me, there's two first big trips. I was with my ex at the time when I, was working at this office job and decided to quit to, I guess, like have more time and focus on photography and all that. So I quit the office job and started working at this vet clinic, and because I love animals.
Right.
So I was able to, work there in an environment that I guess enjoyed more, as well as I was able to make enough money to get a new camera.
Yeah.
And start, I guess, like practicing, getting better. And me and my ex at the time, we would talk about going on a road trip. And I was like, hey, how cool would it be to take like a week off of and just travel, just go somewhere.
Yeah.
Like she was like really on board. She's like, yeah, let's do it. I'm really down. And, like for me, it was like it was not just necessarily like a road trip. Like, oh, I'm gonna like spend so much time just learning photography and all that. Because like to me, I don't really learn the best in the classroom. I learned the best out in the field. So for me, a big part of this road trip was being able to put all the knowledge that I had just learned in photography and being able to use it. In situations where you can't really use, like in a city like Dallas. So yeah, it was just very, very big thing for me and her to just go on a road trip, and we pretty much lived in her car. We kind of like just like slept in the back of her car every night in Walmart parking lots or wherever.
Yeah.
Her, Bentley, and we would go up to a few places. We went to the Grand Canyon. We went to Page, Arizona, to Horseshoe Bend. Went through Sedona. We went through Colorado. It was just kind of like the introduction to a wild ride, and that really opened it up, because that was like my first like experience as a traveling like photographer, I would say. finally like had the opportunity to get my camera and hit the road and put all the things that I learned to use, for once. And that was like the most like amazing experience for me, and
Right. So basically,
yeah.
that was like the first trip where like you're not. Well, let me rephrase. Were you going to, like, did you set out specifically to go to the Grand Canyon, or were you like, let's just okay? So that was the main reason. So
Yeah,
you were like,
I was like, I want to go here, 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 here,
okay,
because
okay,
as a photographer, I have my heroes, my idols, the people that I
yeah,
look up to. I see their photos. I'm like, okay, this place looks amazing. I want to see it. And like that's something that's always been a big part of the things that I do as a photographer. Is I want to take photos for people who can't also get the opportunity to go out and see them.
that's yeah. No, I dig that. That's a really. I mean, obviously, you get something out of it personally, but like being able to take what you love and being able to expand that to someone else is like the greatest win that you can have. Like you're able to accomplish something that you want to do and then share
Yeah,
that with someone else, even someone that you might not know, is like one of the best things that you can do with a passion. That's really cool that you've been able to pursue that. I mean, I've followed your stuff for a handful of years now, probably since it was like really starting to get going, and so like I've seen it kind of like slowly grow over time. And now I don't know, last how many followers do you have now on Instagram? Like at least over 1,000. How many is it? Is it over 2,000?
no, it's not over 2,000. I want to say like a good like 1,400.
That's
Almost
still good
1,500.
though. It's one of
Yeah, I
those
mean,
things that just snowballs over time.
definitely. And I mean, like, I don't necessarily like get bummed when I'm like, I see people who have like 50 million followers, whatever, or
Yeah.
like 5 million followers. I don't really get bummed because I mean they worked really hard. They got to where they were because they put a lot of that time in. A lot of me is like still being worked on. I'm still
Yeah.
working on my photography, and I'm like, you know what? I'll get there when I get there. I'm in necessarily no rush, but at the same time, I have this whole sense of fear of missing out. So I kind of want to do everything like now,
Yeah.
and I always like, set myself. I always have to set myself back and go, okay, there'll be time for this, time for that. Gotta slowly get there. Gotta work harder. Gotta get better. That's definitely something I work on, reminding myself quite a bit.
Yeah, well, that fits. So, GILGA is actually an acronym which stands for Great Impatience Loves Great Ambition, which basically, in essence, means if you're like super ambitious about a specific thing, but you're impatient with it, like it's not going to work out the way that you want to. Like,
Yeah,
if you're super motivated to do X, like you need to be patient with it, and then like the good things will come. But if you're impatient with it, you're going to lose out on opportunities. You're going to rush things. So it fits exactly what you're saying, where like if you're just impatient with it, I want to do all of this at one time. Well, obviously you can't travel to all these different places at
exactly.
once. You're like, I'm gonna hit this place at some point. I know I will. I'll make myself do it. Let's look forward to it when it happens. But let's really enjoy the place that we're traveling to next week, because we're gonna actually be in that moment, when we're there, versus instead of thinking about, oh, I want to go to New York and look at these places in New York, but you're at the Grand Canyon at the time and you're not absorbing everything you can from the Grand Canyon. And so then
Exactly.
then you leave the Grand Canyon and then you're like, man, did I really get like a lot out of the Grand Canyon? So it's just like I
That's
totally
definitely
yeah.
for sure. And I'll be honest, I have definitely had that experience where I'll be like on a road trip. I'll be out there, and I'll like look at someone else's photos like on Instagram. I'll be like, wow, I wish I was there. But then I'll
Yeah.
like bring myself back. I'm like, why do I wish I was there when I'm already not even home? I'm like
Right.
out in Wyoming or wherever. And like I saw a photo of like somebody out in California. I'm like, wow, it looks nice. I wish I
Yeah.
was there. I was like, no, I don't. I'm perfectly happy with being where I am, and that's something that I definitely enjoy having a dog with me because dogs live 100% in the present,
Oh yeah.
and they
100%.
never, yeah, 100%. They never really worry about whatever anyone else is thinking or what they're doing or anything like that. They're like, I'm here now, and having Bentley with me on all these trips is definitely kind of like my anchor of, okay, we're both here now. We're both experiencing the same exact thing together, like
Yeah.
at this very moment, and like that's definitely a grounding experience for sure. It's
That's
really
the best
helpful.
way to do it. I mean, I'm sure the dog Bentley definitely 100% helps with that whenever you look at it that way. That makes a lot of sense. I hadn't really thought of it that way, that the dog could keep you grounded in the moment. But that's definitely so true. That's very true. Has have you ever had like a problem mid trip with either you or Bentley?
Oh, I mean, okay, so if you know me well enough, you know that it's either like a negative thing or just something out of my control. And that's something that's that's kind of very common for me. My dad actually
Yeah.
makes fun of me because I actually went on a family road trip to El Paso. I have a lot of family out there, and I decided to just kind of like take the keys to the rental car and drive a few hours north to New Mexico just to go to the White Sands sunrise.
Sure.
So I left at like I want to say like 3, 4 in the morning. Got there hoping to get there by sunrise.
Yeah.
Being able to take some photos and all that. And the funny thing is, I get there. I drove all this way, get to New Mexico, and they're doing like missile testing. So they close the entire national monument.
No. No.
So I was like, dang, I was this close, so close. And like I came back and my parents, mind you, my mom had no idea where I was. My dad kind of knew. I was like, hey, I'm gonna borrow the keys. I'll be right back. I'll be back before anyone wakes up. Came back, my mom was like barely waking up. I was like, oh, good morning, mom. My dad's like, how was it? I'm like, didn't happen. He's like, what? He started laughing. He's like, why does this always happen to me? I'm like,
that sucks. Did you ever get to experience that like on a different road trip? What you wanted to experience that morning?
Actually, yeah, no, I really did. Last year I went on I actually went on one of my first flights, like plane rides, in like the longest time since I was a kid.
Okay.
With my good friend Richard, and we went to El Paso to go to White Sands. We camped out in White Sands, stayed there all night, woke up there, for sunrise. So I was able to get those sunrise shots, and it was beautiful, and I was able to, pretty much get the shots that I wanted, probably even better because I was with a friend, and the experience was just that much more fun,
Yeah. Well, so that must have been so gratifying to finally get what you had set out to do. How many years previous was it before you got to actually finally get to see it?
Honestly, yeah, no. I went, I want to say 2 years ago to White Sands for my first time.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I've been dreaming. I was like, I want to go back. I want to be there at sunrise, sunset, all night. And when my family and I went to El Paso, it was like, I want to say a few months prior to me and my friend flying to El Paso and redoing that. So it was a few months before. So it was definitely a lot of fun being able to go back.
When was the time whenever you had driven there in the morning to see the sunrise?
I honestly cannot remember, but I want to say that was maybe last year or the year before.
And okay, so it all kind of like the whole construct of the timeline is basically like a year or two total between like going there, missing out, and then like finally getting to see it. It was like 1 or 2 years.
Definitely.
Okay. So it wasn't like one of those long drawn out like, oh, I tried to go 5, 6 years ago and now I'm finally gonna do it. It was like you're like, nah, I gotta get this knocked out now.
Basically, yeah.
Well, luckily it was something that, I mean, New Mexico's very close compared to something like, the Pacific Northwest.
That's so true.
So I mean, it's a little easier to kind of plan that out. But that's good that you were actually able to kind of knock that out.
Definitely, yeah. No, it's definitely it helped tremendously. Oh, my girlfriend's got home.
Everyone gets to see Bentley's beautiful face.
Hi, baby. Oh, Bentley. Okay, go say hi.
So you have like an annual like road trip is what I've been saying, except obviously you weren't able to go this year because of, you wanted to make sure that Bentley was in the best shape.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
you do an annual road trip?
For the past few years I've been doing this annual road trip around like the last part of September. His birthday's September 28th, and so I usually take like anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks off of a work, whatever, and I save as much money as possible to just go out. I never really necessarily have like a full plan of where I'm gonna go or where I'm gonna stay each night, but I kind of have a general idea, and I just go, And this year, yes, unfortunately, I won't be able to do that like I have done in the past, just because his he's got some teeth that need to be removed, and his molars seem to be the most expensive ones to remove. A lot of work needs to be done from the vet clinic, so yeah, all the expenses are going to go to taking care of him. He's top priority before I can travel or do anything really fun for myself. But yeah, I mean, like after that, hopefully I can save up money again and go on. And I mean, another trip. I'm going to do another trip always.
Yeah, they won't stop. So so you do it like kind of like as a celebration of Bentley's birthday.
Definitely, yes.
That's really cool.
Right?
That's kind of cool considering he, like you said earlier, was the one that kind of keeps you grounded with it. That's really cool that he that you kind of do that as like a family thing. Do you usually have other people go with you other than like your dog? Like, do you have? I've seen a few photos where, or like some of your Instagram stories where, you're like you show like you yourself in the car, and then there's like sometimes there's other people with you. Um, sometimes I think it's your girlfriend with you. So is it kind of like set who goes with you on these trips?
So honestly, these past 2 trips, I've only gone on 2 trips for him with him for his birthday. So the past 2 trips were have only just been me and him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and typically it's I don't know. I never really have a set idea of I'm gonna actually keep it just me and him. Or I would love to actually invite more people. More people, more fun. We
Yeah.
can all share the experience and
Sure.
all
Yeah.
that. But I mean, so what happened was the first trip that he and I went on. It was after my ex and I had like broken up. The first ex or whatever that went on that road trip with me. The
Yeah.
first road trip. So we broke up, and I was kind of like going through like this spiraling downward depression, and it was not fun. And to kind of like reclaim who I was as a person, I was like, you know what? I don't need her to travel. I don't need her to be able to chase my dreams. And so I decided to go ahead and pack up my stuff, get my dog, and just be gone. Out on the road for a good solid month.
Yeah. For a month.
Uh,
Wow.
yeah, that was definitely an incredible experience. That was like our first road trip together, and that was kind of like, to me, that's like my second first like real big road trip. Just because
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't have no one with me. It was 100% me making all the decisions. I drove 100% of the time,
Yeah.
and to me, that was kind of like a very therapeutic experience. I got to
Wow.
be in the car and just kind of like not necessarily meditate, but just be lost in thought. Just kind of reevaluate my life, who I was, what I
Yeah.
wanted to do, who I wanted to be, and that really helped me. I guess like reclaim, just myself.
So is this whole month? Was it like? I guess instead of asking what I was going to ask first, so walk me through like where all you traveled in that month, if you happen to remember it all.
Okay, yeah, no, that month it was pretty wild. So the first stretch was Colorado. I went up to Colorado Springs, hung out with a friend who I guess met on the internet, and she was really super nice. She has 2 corgis,
Hmm.
Lizzie and Watson. They're fantastic. And the plan was to go through Aspen, Colorado, to Maroon Bells. I don't know if you've ever seen photos or have you ever been, but it's beautiful out there. I wanted to go, in that direction because for Ben's birthday in September, that's when all the leaves are changing. It's fall, so all the colors are just so vibrant, hitting, and it's beautiful. So that was the first part, was going through Colorado Springs, then to Aspen to go to Maroon Bells, and that was like the first 2-3 days was getting to Colorado and then going to Maroon Bells. From there we camped out, woke up like super early. I want to say like maybe like 2-3 in the morning. Drove out to the lake out in the mountains, and I got there for sunrise. It was so beautiful, so cold. I remember having like 10 different layers of like all the this trip. I put them all on, and I was still cold. I had gloves, a beanie, like a parka and all that. I was like, oh, this is crazy. What
Yeah.
I never realized is, I was bringing like 5 million jackets, but never enough like bottom layers. Like that's something that I learned is bring like pajama bottoms, put under your pants, and that tremendously helps.
Yeah.
Um, but from Colorado, I woke up like want to say like 2-3 in the morning to get to this lake. Got there for sunrise, took some photos, and then went on a hike. And I did not realize, that elevation, altitude, all that really does, like,
It
have.
messes with you.
So like I was like out of breath, and I was like, this is I'm out of shape. I mean, it was fine. I love backpacking, I love hiking, and I was like, yeah, like right before this trip, I was able to like backpack like 10 miles, like no problem, and
Yeah.
I couldn't even go like 2-3 miles without being out of breath and like just like dead. So, and like this is without a pack, without anything. So it was pretty eye opening. But got to the destination, and then like hiked back to the car, and then we drove back into Aspen, little mountain town, and we ate some pizza, and then directly after that, we ate pizza for I want to say like lunch or a little bit after lunch, and after that, I drove directly to Moab, Utah. So that was I was in a constant state of continuously moving. I never really stayed in one place way too long. I went straight to Moab, Utah, and I got there around I want to say 8 or 9. The sun had already just started setting and all that, and I was eating some waffles in some little cafe shop and all that, and I saw everybody kind of like walking around and I guess enjoying their lives, and I started having this. I'm really out here by myself, and I have no one to hang out with, no one to talk to. It's just me and my dog, and I'm like, started feeling lonely. So I was like, you know what? Maybe if I went somewhere where I'm completely alone, I won't feel so lonely. I don't know why, but I did. And so I went to Arches National Park. It's a national park that I've never thought of going, or never thought I would be able to ever go. It was beautiful. It was incredible. And I went there like super late at night. At the time I went, there was actually nobody camping and no workers out in the national park because the entire place was kind of like under construction for new campsites, new all that. So I guess I kind of went at the perfect time because I was able to get some great photos of like the arches with like stars behind them.
Yeah,
I met this really old dude like Kenneth Wilkinson. I'll never forget. He had all these crazy wild stories because he was also doing photography like super late at night, and he was telling me all these crazy stories of his travels. And he's from I want to say Tennessee, Kentucky. He's from around there, and he was also on his like month-long road trip for himself, taking photos. And it was cool being able to connect with somebody who much older but still had like the same kind of like I guess like drive to be at the same exact place at the same exact time. And that was pretty cool. And like we were like pretty much out all night. Like literally I had, like I said, I woke up at 2, 3 in the morning in Colorado, drove to Utah, and then stood up all night with this dude who I just met just to take photos of the stars. And that was like that was an amazing feeling. I was like, I'm doing what I love. I'm loving what I do, and this is it was incredible.
And that's really very interesting that you just happen to be in the same place at the same time as this other person from across the world, well, not across the world, but across the country, that's doing the exact same thing as you. That's just like, it's one of those things where, like, personally for me, I have a hard time believing in like destiny, but it's like those kind of things that just make you kind of think. You're like, wow, that's kind of crazy. Like the chance of that happening. And even so, like, you could be in the same place as someone that's doing the exact same thing as you, but like it takes connecting with that person to know that they're doing the exact same thing as you.
Agreed. Definitely.
So that's crazy. So the place where you took the pictures of the stars, where was this again?
It was Moab, in Arches National Park.
Okay. And where did you go from there?
From there, I like the next morning, because like me and this dude, we both like parked in the national park. We slept in our cars. Woke up the next morning and had to leave because it was flooding, it was raining, and the entire national park was kind of like in a bowl. So we're like, let's get out of here before we flood. So we left. He's like, hey, I'm going to Colorado. If you want to join, you can partake, and we can continue taking photos. And I was like, you know what? I just came here from Colorado. I'm going northwest somewhere. And he's like, okay, cool. So we parted ways. And I remember I was like in my car, in Moab, and I was in my car, and I was like thinking, I was like, okay, I don't even know where I want to go. I have no idea. I could go north. I could continue going north to like Salt Lake, or I can continue going like west towards like California. And I was like really conflicted. I was like, I have nowhere to go. I have had nowhere specifically to be. So I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Anything can happen. So I flipped a coin. Ended up going north.
And that's the best way to do it, right? Like, because like you went in without like a set plan of where you're going. You're just like, I'm just gonna go somewhere, and so that's like a very very genuine. I completely believe that you like just woke up and you made the decision like, nah, I'm not going back to Colorado. You're like, fuck it, I don't know where I'm gonna go. Let's flip a coin. And so so continue. So you flip a coin, and where does it bring you?
And it takes me to Salt Lake City. I've never been there. I've only seen, the place in photos on Instagram or wherever, Tumblr, I don't even know. And I was like, I have no friends or no
Yeah.
like family. I have nowhere really to be in Salt Lake, but I'm gonna go anyways. I guess I'll see what happens from there. And funny enough, a year prior to this road trip, I actually, is it a year? Hold on, I'm trying to think. Actually, that earlier that year of this road trip, I met this couple in Zion National Park with like a friend of mine, and we were on top of Angel's Landing, and we met this couple, and they're like, my friend was playing his ukulele, and this both bonded, and me and my friend, we bonded with this couple, and we're like talking, and they're like, yeah, dude, if you're ever hit us up, and I completely forgot that they lived out there. So I was out there, and I was like, do I know anyone? And they're like, wait, Ruth and John, they live out here. So I contacted them, and they're like, yeah, man, just let's go like rock climbing, let's go hang out, like let's do it, let's go on a hike. And I'm like, I'm so down. I was like, anywhere you guys want to go hiking, I am game. I don't know anything but about Salt Lake or the hiking trails around here, but I'm down for anything. And funny story is, after I had flipped my coin and it took me to Salt Lake, on the drive there, I experienced, I don't know if it was food poisoning or like altitude sickness. I have no idea what it was, but I got really sick on the drive there. And like going back to the conversation we had earlier, I have really bad anxiety. And a big trigger of my anxiety is being sick or some kind of like sickness like that. So being sick like that really triggered my anxiety. And at that very moment, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be home. And I kept reminding myself, I was like, this is stupid. I can't, go home. I'm stuck all the way out here in Utah. I kind of need to get it together and, talk myself into, working through this and all that. So I was able to get like Pedialyte and take a nap in my car, and that really helped. And then I was like, back to normal within a couple of hours of a nap. And then I was like on my way, continue my way to Salt Lake. So that's definitely, I guess like what you would say is challenging. Dealing with my anxiety still.
Definitely.
While being out there. But yeah, I went to Salt Lake. We went rock climbing one morning, and then later that morning went to some hot springs. And the hot springs were like something I don't think I could ever really fully explain without showing a photo, because it was the most beautiful place I think I could have ever really been surprised to ever go, because the colors of like the hot spring, the sulfur water was so beautiful. It was like different shades of blue on top of it being around fall time. So all the leaves around were just like popping with colors. So I was like, I cannot believe I'm here now experiencing this. And that was a beautiful moment for sure. And I was able to hang out with my friends Cruz and Justin, who I met earlier that year. And it was just like you said, about not really necessarily believing or thinking that destiny really happens often, but in moments like that, it's like I have a hard time not believing,
Yeah, you're there. So I mean, did that give like a in reaction to where you had been a few hours previously struggling with your anxiety? To me, if that would have happened to me, I feel like I would have had this almost like euphoric reaction of I'm experiencing this now, and like putting that in comparison to like what you were going through a few hours previously, I would have been like, oh my god, like I was in this bad place a few hours ago, and now I'm here experiencing this thing and like all of its beauty, and like
that was definitely
had to have like bumped it up even on another level simply because of where you had been previously.
100%, because I mean, my anxiety, I would say, has literally affected me 100%. Like in my life and all my life decisions, and being able to be like, what, I was able to have this like feeling of complete anxiety where I never thought I would escape. Because like when I have my anxiety, I'm like so present in that negative, like just like anxious feeling, that I never really think that it's gonna get any better, even though it obviously does every single time. My mind just doesn't work like that, So it was incredible to be able to be like, what, I survived that, and I'm here, and I'm able to experience this most beautiful like location I could have never dreamt of, going to, and here I am. 100%.
There you are.
No anxiety, completely happy with my dog, my friends, and it was incredible.
So this one was, you said, about 2 years ago?
I want to. Yes, it was about. Yeah, 2 years ago. I had to think about that for a
Yeah.
second.
They all, does it do they all kind of start running together a little bit? Like cuz I'm sure that you limit you don't limit your trips to just like the annual like road trip with Bentley, right? Do you like you do more than that, or do you actually limit it to the annual thing?
I mean, I have a few trips like at that for the most part that I try to plan per year. So I mean, every year I'm trying to do at least a good decent road trip, like my I guess like annual big trip with Bentley. But I will do a lot smaller trips. Like I've gone on road trips with my friend Jennifer to Idaho. We went
Wow.
like in like 3 4 days. Went to Idaho. Another trip went to like South Carolina together. And my friend Brandon and I went to Zion National Park.
Yeah.
And Page, Arizona. We got to experience all that together as well one time. Um, I've gone to Arkansas a million times, and I have friends who either join me,
Mhm.
or friends, and that's always been a lot of fun.
Is
But
Arkansas like just like a is it a special location for you that you keep going back?
it's the closest. From okay, so you know how I was like telling you about Austin's kind of like my getaway.
Yeah.
So I would say is my getaway now when
The
I
new
want to be
getaway.
the new getaway when I want to when I can't afford to go too far or stay out too long. It's I can drive 6 hours and be in the
Yeah.
most beautiful backcountry ever. So
So you're basically getting like you're like, okay, I can't afford to go here. I'm still gonna get that escape feeling. I'm still gonna get that
exactly.
travel feeling. So one way or another, I'm gonna make it happen. I mean, so that's cool that you kind of have like a go-to, kind of like a backup plan almost.
Definitely. And my plan for like the longest time is I've been wanting to move out to the Northwest. I've been wanting to move out to like Oregon and Washington for the
Yeah,
longest time. My getaway could literally be, 30 minutes to like maybe an hour away if I wanted. That
yeah,
way I wouldn't have to drive out of state to go somewhere that I'd rather be. If I was already living in Oregon, I could be like, you know what, I'm gonna go to the ocean. I'm gonna go,
yeah.
to the first waterfall action, or might want to go summit a mountain. I have no idea. Like that's just to me that places like that just scream adventure. That's where where I'd prefer to be.
Yeah, so I'll talk about it a little bit. I haven't really explored that much because I'm one of those people that definitely like I would get a lot out of like exploring a place by myself, but I get way more out of it whenever I'm doing it with like one other person because I'm experiencing it myself, but I'm also feeling their experiences, which is like
Okay,
a
no, I
yeah
totally get that.
big part for me is like is getting this all encompassing what I feel plus someone else. It just gives it more of a it just gives me more for it. Pretty much in a lot of things actually. I love experiencing things with people to just feel that extra thing.
Mhm.
Um and it didn't
You
really
say,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, what city did you say you moved to?
So I'm about 20 to 30 minutes or roughly about like 15 miles ish east of Portland.
Which city is that?
So Portland is like I'm pretty sure it's the capital of Oregon. I should know this because I live here. But oh, what city do I live in?
Yeah,
I
sorry.
live in a city called Gresham, Gresham,
Okay, I remember
and
regressions.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, it's
all
about
right,
15 miles ish east of Portland. Um,
nice.
so there is a place that I went to with my family whenever I was still living with them temporarily called Silver Falls. Um,
Wow, I love Silver Falls.
You've been there. Okay, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Did you go to
Yeah,
did you go on the hike where you were able to go behind the waterfall and everything?
I was sad I wasn't able
God,
to go.
that
Yeah, I
is
know.
like Silver Falls is like you go there for that purpose. You got
I know,
I
right?
can't believe that
Hey,
you went to Silver Falls but didn't go to that
you
behind
know
the
what? Next
yeah.
time I'm in Oregon, we'll have to go. Okay.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's about like an hour and a half south of Portland. Probably about an hour and a half from me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the behind the waterfall trip is I think it's like really easy. It's like it's not even a hike. I mean, there's like multiple different hikes in Silver Falls, but I only did the one um, that you could walk behind the waterfall, and it was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, we were only able to do that specific hike because the family that I was with they had an 18-month at the time,
Oh,
so obviously
gotcha.
we were kind of limited with what we want to do, but it was absolutely gorgeous. I took like a little. I recorded the walk the entire time from start to finish
That's amazing.
with my phone. So I have that, and I'll send you. I made like a little bit of like a 1.5 minute little video, kind of just splicing things together into like a tiny thing. I'll send it to you after we finish up tonight. But so Silver Falls was beautiful, and then the coast from here is probably about an hour and a half west.
Love the coast. Okay.
I haven't been to the coast. Silver Falls is really like the main thing that I've done since I've been here. Okay. And then you have Mount Hood, which is about an hour east. I'd say about an hour east. Mount Hood is about an hour east of here. I haven't been there yet. Definitely want to go there. And then I don't know what the mountain range is to my north. I want to say, God, I'm not sure exactly which one it is. But whenever I'm driving home on the highway that I'm on, I'm going east. Mount Hood is directly in front of me. And then to my left is some other mountain range that almost like connects eventually with Mount Hood. And it's like this canvas of mountains. It literally gets like a stupid grin on my face every time whenever I get to see it. I'm not even joking. Like I'm driving home and like right whenever I come around that corner or up that hill and I see them, it just puts a stupid smirk on my face. Like it's like the same thing as what you're saying. It's like you get that feeling of like I'm here. Like I'm actually here. Like it's not like I'm looking up what they look like. I'm actually here experiencing it in this moment, and like that's a big part of it. It's a huge part of it.
Trying to see which mountain range that is. Like
it's closer. I would want to say it's closer than Mount Hood. It's right across the Columbia River. Like it's in Washington, like right along the border. I'm not sure which it is, but it is very very pretty.
Yeah, I'm looking at my phone on the map. I'm like, which mountain? But like, dude, that's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah, it is absolutely gorgeous. And then there's this place that I went to. So a few years ago, before I moved here, I went up here to see my older sister, who's the family that I know up here. She was getting married.
Oh wow!
So that was my first time up here. It was about 3 years ago or so, and that's what got me to fall in love with it immediately. Was because I had never been up here, and then it only takes that one trip to make you fall in love with it. We went to this place called Vista House. Did you ever go there whenever you were here?
I did not.
Vista House is, I haven't like traveled for aesthetics or like just, going out to like these, like the trips that you take where you just go out into nature and you look at all of these places. Like I've never really traveled that much for that purpose, but I've traveled like I want to travel and just, I'm not like a Los Angeles type of person, but like just to experience it one time. I'm not like a huge, downtown city type of person, but I went to New York to experience it. And it was nice. It was a great experience just to have it in your back pocket. But Vista House was definitely, out of all the places that I've been to in my life, easily was the most beautiful thing that I'd ever seen. It's basically like, did you ever go to Multnomah Falls?
Yes, I did. And when I went, it was still closed. Sadly.
Damn. So you went after the fire had happened.
It did when
that sucks. I don't know how much it's open now, but I was able to go to it before that happened, like 6 months to a year before it happened, roughly. Okay. And we didn't hike up it that much because we had all this wedding stuff to prepare for.
Wait, hold on. I did go to Vista House.
You did go to Vista House. It's like a 360 view.
Yeah, I'm looking on my phone right now of what it looks like. I did go there. And
Vista House is my all-time favorite thing. Pictures don't do it justice.
No, not at all.
At all.
In there, it just had, like, I remember when I was there, I was like there with a friend that I just like literally met online, and we were taking photos all as the sun was like rising. And as we were both leaving, there was these two girls that were just kind of like sitting, like kind of like on the ledge with their feet out, and I was like, hey, can I take some photos of you guys? You guys look really cool with like this background. They're like, sure. Okay. I took photos of them. I never uploaded them, but they're like, it's kind of like for me, be like, okay, I remember this moment, It's
your moment.
My moment, exactly.
Yeah. That was easily the prettiest thing that I had ever seen in my entire life. It was, I'm going to go back, I think, not this weekend, but I think I'm going to go next weekend. I have someone that is going to be coming in from Texas that I used to work with for her work, and she's going to be staying with me. And I was like, I'm definitely taking you there. I've been wanting to go back since I had went there the first time.
Yeah.
and just like absorb it more instead of like only being able to be there for a specific amount of time. Like I can stay there as long as I want. It's
Mhm.
yeah. I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna take her there, and then I don't know if we'll go to Mount Hood or not. That's a little. I mean, it's like an hour or so away, but I think I'll probably end up pushing myself to take her there because I think it's just I haven't been there yet and I don't know what I'm going to expect, but it's something that I need to do. It's like entirely worth it.
I feel that. Yeah, dude, 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
like from when you go to Vista House, there's like just that road that it's on.
Hmm.
Um, you can just keep going down the road, and there's like nothing but waterfall after waterfall
Yep.
after waterfall. It is
Yep.
so like I was like completely shocked with how many waterfalls in a row I was able to go to. Like,
Yeah, you could spend like an entire day probably on that road.
oh,
I mean, and it's
dude,
right along, the Columbia River and it
wow.
just even the highway by itself is beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I was completely stunned. I was like, this place is absolutely gorgeous, and like I'll admit I've been wanting to move to Oregon even before I ever went. And I was like, a lot of my friends and family were like, why do you want to go somewhere you've never been? I'm like, I've seen photos and like I
Yeah.
want to be there and actually being able to go there and seeing all the places that I've only seen in photos. That was a moment where it solidified the whole I'm definitely wanting to move here. Like for sure, this is where I want to call home
Yeah.
eventually. You know? So
Did you ever get to travel into Washington?
so on my Bentley's road trip birthday of last year, we did go to Oregon, and I did partially go to Washington. On that road from Vista House, my friend and I, we kind of like kept going up that road up
Hmm.
until we got to Washington. We just barely crossed the border to get to a waterfall,
Okay.
and then from that waterfall, took some photos, and then drove back to where his car was, somewhere in Portland. And I dropped him off. And my intentions were to, because at this point I was in Oregon for about 2 weeks. That third week, I wanted to go ahead and venture out and be in Washington the entire time,
Yeah.
and then start driving home. But at the end of that 2 weeks, I realized that I wasn't feeling well. On this trip, I wasn't feeling well, and like I
Yeah.
said, something kind of always happens on these trips. And I guess like a few days prior to me not feeling well, I was swimming in some hot springs out in Oregon, and I guess I had a cut on my leg, and it got infected.
Oh
And
shit.
this infection grew really rapidly. My leg was swollen; like I could not stand or walk on this leg without it being in so much pain.
Wow.
I was feeling a little bit dizzy, and I was not feeling great. I was like, at first, I didn't realize that my leg was infected until I decided to start driving back home. I was like, you know what? I'll just catch Washington on my next trip.
Yeah.
You know, so I was already driving home, and as I was sleeping in my car one morning, I woke up and felt like like that sensation when your leg is like asleep. I was like, why is my leg feel like it's asleep?
Yeah.
I pull up my pant leg, look and see my leg is like swollen. It's red and like where I guess like there looks like the infection was. It was like pussing. I was like, wow, that's terrifying. And
Yeah, like
I guess
that's not cool.
that's not cool at all.
That's
So I was
not
like,
cool.
okay. And it's funny because on this part of the trip, I was already driving home, and I woke up, in Oregon. So, when I needed gas, I didn't have to get out of my car to pump gas or anything like that. So as I'm leaving, getting out, my first stop in Idaho to pump gas, I was like, man, I wish someone would pump my gas right now because it physically hurts to pump my own gas. And yeah, so I remember that feeling of, man, I wish I was in Oregon, someone could pump my gas. But no, I'm in Idaho, and
Yeah.
I gotta hobble out of my car, go, put gas. It was cold and rainy, and like my leg was so like in so much pain. It was just not the funnest, but I mean, it was definitely a great experience overall. I'm still alive. I'm still here. I got my leg, so.
I'm glad you still have your leg. Did you have to make the drive all the way back to Texas before you got it looked at?
Actually, I was terrified that I would have to wait until I get to Texas, but I stopped in Salt Lake City on my way from Oregon. I stopped in Salt Lake City, and I went to an ER. I was like, hey, I don't know what's wrong. My leg looks infected. Can you look? And like they took me in, and before I could see the doctor, they were like checking my blood pressure, and they're like, why is your blood pressure so high? And I'm like, probably because I'm having a panic attack. Because like I think I'm
Yeah.
losing my leg. Like I'm quite terrified right now, but it is what it is. They were able to give me antibiotics and all that, so they were able to give me what I needed. I was able to take medicine, and eventually my leg got better. But
Well,
from
that's a story that ends a lot quicker than people imagine. I mean, the way that you describe it, that would make me freak out. I'd be like, so that's not my leg.
right. Yeah, no,
Where's my leg? Is it like inside of this swollen monstrosity? Like that's
it
terrifying.
was absolutely terrifying because like I had obviously no friends or family nearby to like
Yeah,
be like,
you're
hey,
not at home. Yeah, that
check it
amplifies it.
out. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay, call my mom and my dad. I'm like, hey guys, I don't know what's going on, but might lose my leg, and like,
I might
like,
lose my leg.
like I don't know how severe this is because I'm not a doctor and I don't
Yeah,
have any medical experiences, so I don't know how like if I'm gonna lose this leg or not. I was literally in the waiting room at the office, at the doctor's office, looking up, seeing like if I could still go hiking with the prosthetic. Like I was like,
how expensive is the prosthetic leg?
exactly. I was like, this is something I never thought I would ever have to Google. But here I am, and I mean, yeah, it was very terrifying. But I mean,
Man,
I was able I was able to get it treated right away and as soon as I could, and I was able to save my leg. I don't know how far I gone. They were like, "Oh, it's fine." I'm like, "Okay, good." But
how sure are you?
right. And from then, I continued my drive back home. Keep in mind, because of the infection, I had like a fever. My
Yeah,
mind was really loopy, and so just driving with this sense of like I guess like hazy, like I guess like sickness. I was like, this sucks. This is terrible.
yeah.
And I definitely remember like driving through. I guess like on the rest of the drive, being amazed at how pretty everything was, and I couldn't really truly like stop because like
Yeah,
my main focus was to get home and just be better, because
right.
I just didn't know how severe the whole situation was, or if I would stop and stay somewhere, if I would, I guess like make make the infection get any progressively worse. I had no idea, so I was like, you know
Yeah,
what?
you were so in the unknown, like
Yeah,
uncharted territory. Like,
basically. So, but yeah, no, I mean, like that was definitely a scary experience. Oregon, Washington, that was the farthest me and him have ever gone away from home together. So that was definitely
you cannot get much further unless you're going into Canada or something. I mean, I
exactly.
know my drive total, like including stops, was about 33, 34 hours. So
Dude, that's crazy.
yeah, it was. I will never make that drive again solo ever in my entire life. It was very bad. 34 hours over 3 days. The first day I went to Boulder, Colorado, and stayed with
Okay.
one of my all-time best friends from high school.
Okay.
Was utterly fantastic. It was someone. Her name is Kyra. She went to Plan Luis as well, but she and I were like kind of. She was kind of a lot more, kind of like kept to herself and like within a very small group of friends in high school. So I
Okay.
don't. You probably don't know
Okay.
her.
Right.
But other than that, it was. So I stayed with her for the first trip. So I made it to Boulder. That was about
13 hours, 13,
13,
14 hours.
14 hours. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like you've made the trip before or something. So it was about 14 hours, and
Yeah.
that part was scary because I got to the point where it was like really like pitch dark night, and
Mhm.
um, it was on a road where there like weren't any street lights. There weren't like really any like lights along the side of the road, like along like the guardrails, like nothing almost. It was like just purely my headlights. I didn't know where the hell I was. I was like, I still have an hour left. I started like getting a little like a small panic attack myself where like I was starting to like get like a cold sweat. I was like, I don't know where I am. I just want to be there, but I'm not going to be there for an hour. And I even called my mom. I was like, I just need to like just be talking to someone while I'm driving just to like
I feel
level
that.
myself out.
I totally feel that. By the way, which I guess phone service do you have?
I've Sprint.
You have Sprint? Okay, because like, I
Yeah.
have Verizon, and every time I'm in Colorado, my service is so bad. Like I get to Colorado Springs, Denver, Boulder, and like my
Yeah.
maps are starting to mess up on me. Phone calls and texts aren't going through, and I'm like having a panic attack because like I'm like I don't know where I'm going. I have
Yeah.
no way to contact anyone, and so yeah, I totally understand that.
Yeah. I mean, and that worked. Like, just it leveled me out to the point in where I just got there, and I was so exhausted because it was like 14 hours straight just by myself, like nothing really to keep me company other than just whatever I could come up with. And so I stayed there, and then stayed at her apartment, and then the next day we spent the day in Colorado. with each other. We didn't go on a hike. I was still pretty exhausted from the previous day, but she took me to her campus, which I wanted to see simply because that's something that was important to her.
Nice.
And then we went out to lunch. It was great. And then we ended up staying with the person that she was seeing at the time. He was gracious enough to let me stay there for the night with them, and we all got like pretty plastered drunk, and we're playing this game called Human Fall Flat, which is like a ragdoll physics type game.
Yeah.
Was super fun, and then we were all talking and joking. He's super smart guy. He was his name is Sam. He was talking about, he's like I don't want to get this wrong. He's basically like, I want to say he's like a molecular biologist or something.
Wow.
He
Wow.
he's like big time, like smarty pants. He does like research on like DNA type stuff and everything. So I was genuinely curious to talk to him because he knew about things that I wouldn't even know the faintest idea about in terms of like cancer and stuff like that. And
Insane.
yeah, we talked for a lot about different things, and so that was really cool. So the next day, got up and left and drove about 10 hours to Idaho. I was about 2 hours away from
Okay.
Boise. Didn't quite make it
Okay.
into Boise, about 2 hours away from Boise. That drive was fine. Went to bed earlier than I expected that night, got up earlier than I expected to the next day, and then drove the rest of the way to the Portland area, which was about 9 hours. So 14 hours, 10 hours, 9 hours.
Dude,
Was
I feel
very, very, very hard. Will never do it ever again by myself. If it was with another person, it wouldn't have been as exhausting. I would have had things to keep my mind occupied.
exactly, dude. I totally feel that.
Yeah,
Totally.
I think that everyone's like, when did you start losing your mind? And I was like, I had to really think about it. And I think it was on the third day I was passing through Wyoming, and
Okay.
the first half of Wyoming was so gorgeous. It was like all mountains, and they were all like snow capped. So it was just like white mountains everywhere.
It's Medicine Bow. It's like right from where you get from Boulder to Wyoming. That part, like that little segment, as soon as you get to Wyoming,
Yeah, that
it's
first corner,
yeah, it's a Medicine Bow, and it's beautiful out there.
unbelievable, unbelievably
It,
gorgeous. And then the last half of Wyoming, which is what you would typically expect when you think of Wyoming,
yep.
that's whenever I think I was start. It was either that or Idaho. It was one of those two that I was like starting to slowly lose my mind because I didn't pass through anything. There's obviously very pretty things in Idaho. What's the national park that's in Idaho? Which one is it?
They have. Are you talking about the waterfall, the really big waterfall?
No, there's like a state park or a national park
They
in
have the
Idaho.
Sawtooth Mountain Range.
I can't remember what the name of it is. It's really gonna bug me.
Is it the
Um,
Sawtooth Mountain Range that you're thinking about, or hmm?
it would have had me like, if I was going to go to it, it would have had me like go north through Idaho a bit, and then I would have cut west from there to Portland. But I can't
Yeah, I'm
remember it.
trying to think because yeah, you would probably. Hold on, let me look on my phone.
It's a state park though, or something like that. Yeah, I can't remember.
Honestly, honestly, it's the Sawtooth Mountain Range. Hold on, Sawtooth.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like something national park or something though.
See. All right, there's a few. There's
Keep looking it up. I'm gonna try and adjust your webcam a little bit more because
alright,
it's.
no worries.
I look at like the webcam in Discord, and it's like way better than the one that I have in the stream. So let me see if I can fix it a little bit. Nope,
There's a
that's better.
Payette or Payette National Forest. There is
It might be
Sal-
that.
Salmon Chalice National Forest. Hmm, one of those.
It's definitely something that is like nationally protected.
Okay, all right, dude. That's regardless. Idaho is actually really kind of a
Oh,
pretty
that looks
state
so
that
much. It looks so much better. I got it to look a lot better.
no, no, nice. Yeah, I would have
Um,
never knew it was
yeah,
as pretty as it was, but yeah, no, it's beautiful out there.
yeah,
100%.
yeah. No, I totally agree. I think whenever I finally got to Portland and I got to the house, I literally just like knocked on the door, and my brother-in-law, his name is Jason, answered, and I literally just I almost tripped going in because they have a little step up to go into their house. I didn't even realize it, and I literally like tripped over that like into his arms. I was like, I'm here. I just want to lay down. I don't want to drive anymore. Someone else can take my car. I don't need it. Yeah,
Oh wow.
it was like a
Oh,
sweet relief. Like I'm finally here. I don't need to drive anymore.
dude, yes, no, trust me. I love driving, and I have done that trip that you went on to get to where you now go home. And yes, I get to the point where I'm like, I'm done driving. I don't
Yeah,
car for a while. Like I'll walk wherever I want to go.
yeah. It was.
I'll go
Yeah,
back.
it was just like the lack of really like interaction with anything for that long. I mean, thankfully, I made the plan to stay in Colorado for that one day, or else I think I probably would have probably. I think I would have lost it.
Dude, no kidding. No
Yeah.
kidding. I
So
try to make
yeah.
wherever I stop on these trips, I try to like I guess like find like a national park or somewhere where I can go on a little quick adventure, a hike or something. Just because if I drove that far, I might as well, do
Yeah.
something fun.
Right. Right. No, definitely. So going back to your that second first trip that you had, you said that you flipped the coin, you went to Utah. What did
Yes,
did that continue going to another place after that?
actually, from Utah, I was going. My plan from Utah was to go to Las Vegas because I actually have friends. I actually have family in Las Vegas.
Okay.
One of my closest cousins, she lives out there, and this actually happened. Like I actually drove to Las Vegas the day after that Las Vegas shooting that happened.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so I mean, I was in Salt Lake City when it happened. I like woke up like in my car in some like bookstore parking lot, and my parents like were like calling like, "Hey, are you okay?" I'm like, "The news. Have you heard anything from the news?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "What's
Right,
happened?" They're
because
like,
you had been like out, you had been just out, like you had been traveling for
"Exactly."
for how many days now since
At this point, hmm, I want to say this is already starting to get into the second week.
okay, yeah, so you've literally been like a week without news of any kind, like kind of like just I don't want to say like out of touch with reality because that's like a seems negative to say that, but like kind of is true. Like you're just detaching yourself from reality more so and being more like in just your world of where you're traveling and instead of like
Exactly.
attached to everything else in the world. So okay, so you said your family was calling you, be like, hey, have you heard anything?
Yeah, exactly. They were calling me. They're asking if I'm okay, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." What happened? They told me about the shooting. I was like, "Wow, that's where I'm
It's
going."
yeah, that's
I was
crazy.
like, "Yeah, fine. That's sad, and that's where I'm going." I mean, like, okay, interesting. So, I mean, I had to contact my cousin who lives out there and ask if her and her family are okay. They're all fine,
Yeah,
fortunately, you know.
yeah.
But I mean, I was like, I remember getting out there later that night, and she's like, "Hey, do you want to go to the strip?" I'm like, "Nope." Mm.
I'm not testing my like not worth it.
Not worth it.
Not
Like
worth it.
my trips usually have at least one bad thing to happen. Not no, not happening. Not right now.
That's yeah, that
Yeah.
I would not either. Like it just has like bad vibe to it, like bad energy.
So luckily, me and my cousin were able to go on a hike, and that was so much fun.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that was a good experience, even though like everyone in Las Vegas was mourning, and
Oh,
everyone
of
was kind of like,
course.
yeah, dude, I was still terrified.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I get pretty emotional whenever I think of like stuff like that. All these mass shootings that happen. I get quite emotional about it. Like I mean, luckily I haven't had someone personally that's gotten affected by it, but just like thinking of like what the people who do get personally affected by it feel is like it gets me quite emotional. And so it's and that was you can't really just say like, oh, this mass shooting was like the worst one. Like to me, it's just like how can you like put one on top of the other? Like you can put like a
Yeah,
numerical value on it, but like you can't put one life over another or like an amount of lives. Like
exactly.
they're shit. They're shit. They're all shit. It doesn't
Agreed.
matter. So,
And
but
it's just
that yeah,
timeline of just shitty things happening like that, and it's really sad.
it's brutal. It's just like damn. But like you were there feeling that instead of just like me objectively thinking about it. Like you actually were there. Like you were physically feeling the energy of like these people that were all in mourning. And like I can't even begin to imagine like what that felt like. I honestly like almost don't even want to imagine what it felt like.
Yeah, it was,
Like as if there was like a tragedy in the air. I mean, there was. It's just
yeah.
it's very difficult to think about. So you not to just like change the subject immediately, but I'm kind of going to. So you took a hike. Where did you take a hike in the Las Vegas area?
To be honest, I cannot remember the name of the hike, or even the location. My cousin she was the one in charge of just directing me where to go, and we went there, and we just went on one of her favorite hikes.
Okay.
And to me, that was kind of like, like I love hiking, I love being out in nature, and so does she.
Yeah.
And being able to go on one of her favorite hikes was kind of a bonding experience because I've only seen her very handful of times. She lives in Las Vegas. I live in Dallas, and
Yeah.
we both are grown ups now, but we both had completely different, separate lives. And so being able to just go on a hike and catch up for the first time since we were like both like 12, that's pretty
really
great.
cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, so you got to bring a little bit of positivity out of that whole situation.
Definitely.
Did you stay there for just one night or?
I want to say I stood there for a night or two. I cannot remember. All these
Yeah,
before you know it,
they
all these
start
things
blurring together.
and like they blur together. But yeah, no, like I want to say I stayed there a night or two, and um, it didn't take long until I started to feel that sense of I need to get going, need to keep moving,
Yeah.
can't stay in one place too long, and so from there I left and I kept going west. I went to California to visit my brother who before I got there, he had just moved out to Las Vegas maybe like a few months prior. So yeah, Los Angeles. I meant sorry. So he just moved out there a few months prior. So he just moved out there, and it was my first time really visiting him since he moved out there. And I stood there for quite a while. I got to hang out with him, some family members. My dad's like entire side of the family like pretty much lives out in California. So it was pretty nice catching up with them, seeing my brother, and exploring a few places with him as well.
Was that your first time being like in LA?
Actually, no. My first time being in LA. I mean, apart from being a kid, going to to Disney and all that.
Yeah.
Before going to LA this past time, I would say I went when I was maybe like 15, 14, visiting family and all that. So
That's cool. I mean, so you kind of knew you had an experience in your back pocket going into it.
kind of, yeah. And I mean, but even then, like my brother and I went to Malibu Beach. That was my first time going to Malibu. Because like all the trips with my family, I was never in charge of where we go, what we're
Yeah.
So this is my first time of being like, okay, I want to go here, I want to go there, and I want to see a new place that I've never been, even though I've been to Los Angeles maybe like good handful of times,
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool having complete control of where I was able to go and what I was able to experience. So
Definitely. Okay, so we have Colorado, and tell me if I missed one. So the trip started. Did it start in going through Colorado? Is that where it started?
Yeah.
And then you went to
Moab, Utah, to Arches National Park.
Right. And then
I flipped the coin, ended up going
Utah,
to Utah, Salt Lake City,
Las Vegas, LA.
Las Vegas, LA, and then from there in LA, I actually stood a few days longer than I think I stood anywhere else.
Okay.
To hang out with my brother. We caught up, we walked around the city, we explored everything as much as we possibly can in a short period of time. And then before I knew it, I started getting that itch. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Gotta go.
Bye. I gotta go. And I literally woke up one morning. I was like, hey, I'm gonna leave. He's like, you are? I went, yeah.
I'm going. I'm gone.
Peace. So I woke up that morning and got all my stuff packed up and said my goodbyes, and then I started driving home because at this point, I was like, okay, I have about a week left. I might as well, make a few stops on the way and then get home because the last stretch is in my mind. The last stretch of the trip was from El Paso, where I have family, to Dallas, Texas, and that's already like a 9-hour drive. So I was like, okay, might as well start driving, get to a few more spots, and then go. So from Los Angeles, I ended up going through through Arizona. I went to Flagstaff and I stayed at my friend's dorm
Okay,
room.
so you went back south.
Yeah, I went back south.
Okay.
And was able to go through Flagstaff, and from there I was able to like, hang out with a friend. She let me stay in her dorm for like a night or two, which was great. And then from Flagstaff I went even further south to Sedona, which is hands down one of my favorite like just cities in Arizona. It's beautiful. We go on hikes there like every time we go through. And stayed in Sedona for a bit, and then started making our way through New Mexico. Funny story is I drive through New Mexico all the time, but I rarely actually stop or really explore actual town, like actual state. So one of these days I'll actually have to make a trip to New Mexico and actually stay there for a day or two.
New Mexico is, some parts of New Mexico are absolutely breathtaking. I will say.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I just always call myself like just wanting to pass through just to get to the next state over, which is funny. But
yeah, it does seem to be like that. Like a lot of the places that like going west, a lot of it treks through New Mexico. That's how I saw a lot of it, was whenever my family and I were going to California. That's how I saw New Mexico. And I remember it was like one of the first like tangible memories that I had of like, holy shit, these mountains are gorgeous. I'm from Texas. I don't know what this is. I'm used to like flat land as far as the eye can see. Like I don't know what this is. Yeah, so that was like really my first, like I think in terms of my first memory that I really visually remember was that one, going through New Mexico, and it was so pretty. Oh my god,
it's gorgeous. It is gorgeous, and I feel so bad for always like kind of just like skipping out on it. I feel bad, but I mean, like I said, I'll eventually make a few trips. I mean, and like I said, when I went to White Sands, that's New Mexico. Just that never really explored much more than White Sands.
You're gonna have to like make an entire trip based around New Mexico just to do it justice. You're like, I drove through a lot of times. I got you this time. I promise.
Here it is, New Mexico. Here's your time.
I told you earlier it was gonna happen. I'm here. That's sick. So okay, so Arizona, and then
Arizona, down through New Mexico, and then from New Mexico, I made my way to El Paso and stood there for a few days as well.
Yeah.
Because I have family and all that live out there, so it was great seeing my grandparents. Like pretty much my mom's entire side of the family lives in El Paso, so I caught up with all of them, got to say hi, people who I haven't seen in like maybe years, and it was great to catch up. And then eventually I made my trip back to back home.
That's awesome.
That was a month-long endeavor. Like that was pretty great.
That is like just thinking of like a whole entire month. You're literally just taking yourself like out of like the normal world, so to speak, and just like you're in your own world for an entire month. Just like the experiences that you have are completely your own. You're creating this completely yourself. Every experience that you have is based on a decision that you've made, that you've pushed based on this idea of, you know, I'm going to do this trip. I mean, that's like, to me, that's so kick-ass, is that you're able to like have this thing that you love, and then you're like, I'm just gonna fucking go, and then you go, and then you like for a month. I mean, like, wow, a month. Like that is like, I've been here in Oregon since April 4th. That's literally only 4.5 months, like a fourth of that entirely on the road. I mean, like, there's something to be said about what you experience whenever you are just in the heart of nature, instead of coming back and sleeping in a bed, or like in a house or an apartment. Like you've experienced it way more than I have, where you'll go out to these nature spots and you'll end up sleeping in your car. I mean, like, I've seen the pictures, I've seen the Instagram stories, and even the pictures from that vantage point are just like so pretty, and you have this like sense of like oneness that you don't experience elsewhere. It's just it's you literally cannot get it by traveling anywhere and then staying in a hotel. Like you only get it by like staying there, like in the heart of it, through the night, everything. It's like, so that to me is like, one day I'm gonna have to do something similar to that, and there's so much that I want to experience up here, and
yeah, absolutely.
But like,
I feel that.
Hearing stories like that, and there's some other people that I follow as well. There's someone from the Portland area. I'll show you. I think that you would like her stuff. She's also like a big Oregon junkie almost.
Nice.
and she does the same thing where she literally, I think she even like lives like in like a like a like an RV or like a motorhome or something, like in nature, just like all the time. She's like
That is incredible.
she runs like her own like aromatherapy business and makes like she
Wow.
makes this like homegrown like stuff. Like she makes like her own homegrown
Okay.
um like essential oils, like she'll make directly from like ingredients like from nature. Like
Yeah.
I think you'll really dig her stuff. Her name on Instagram, her business's name I think is, I think it's Earth Habit. Earth Habit. I have to look this up so I don't forget. Hold on. I hate to do this in the middle, but like I know me and I know I'll forget. Earth. Yeah, it's
Not habit founder. Okay.
Earth.habit. And that's her business stuff. And then she links her personal account, Sora.blue, on there as well.
Okay.
And
Following her.
yeah, definitely look up her stuff because you'll really see a
Oh wow.
lot of
Okay. Yeah.
similar stuff. And you'll see a lot of like the really cool stuff that she creates with her business. I mean, it's a lot of really cool stuff. Not necessarily things that like I'm personally super into, but just the fact that she's making it with this stuff is so like beautiful in a sense where it's something you can't get in a store, you know, and it has that
Yeah.
like very personal touch to it. I'd love to have her on the show sometime.
Hmm.
But
I
yeah,
believe.
she's I followed her for several years. I
No
even
way.
I sent her pictures that I had took in whenever I was here for my sister's wedding. The pictures that I
Mhm.
had taken for that, I sent her a few of those because I had let her know that I was in Oregon, and like a lot of the stuff I was so just enamored with because of like the stuff that I had seen on her Instagram. And she said, I think I can't remember if she said that she had if she knew where I was based on the site or not, but like she responded and we kind of talked a little bit, and that kind of made me be like, yeah, this is like a cool person to follow. So it's really
Fair
been
enough.
cool to kind of see her over the years kind of evolve from this. I think I followed her originally because of like all of her waterfall stuff, and now she's evolved into like this. She didn't have the business whenever I originally followed her. At
Wow.
least it wasn't set in stone, and now she does that, and now she's like living in the nature as far as I'm aware. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure like she's actually like living like in these like heart of the nature like we were talking about earlier, and it's really cool to see.
That's
Um,
amazing.
because then it's an experience that I've never had. I don't know if I will ever have that experience where I'm like living in nature. So it's cool to kind of see it through the eyes of someone else, kind of like how you do with your photography, where you're like
Yeah.
you're doing it because you love doing it, but like being able to give someone an experience through the eyes of your experience is something that is very valuable to some people. I mean, it's really cool to see those things. Um, yeah, it's been really cool to see the evolution of her stuff, the evolution of your stuff. It is
Thanks, man.
very it's just cool to see sites that you would not see just by going to Google Images or by
Yeah.
going to like a state's gallery or something like that. You're like you're getting something personal, and that's really fucking cool. That's
Thanks.
really cool. So I really do hope that you continue doing it. I want to um before we wrap up here, I do want to show those pictures that I
All right.
saved, and I would love if there is a story behind each one, or if you've already talked about it, you can be like, yeah, this is that place, or this is that
Okay.
place.
Cool. Awesome.
Let me. I'm gonna let me see here. I'm gonna show the first one on the screen, and then I'll know which one to send to you. Let's
All
see.
right.
Make this a little bigger. Okay, this one. Yeah, this one is. I mean, I'm like this one's pretty, and I'm like they're all pretty. So this
All right.
one. This is the first one that I'm showing right now.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. That was taken on my last trip last for to Oregon. That's Cannon Beach. I don't know if you said you haven't been to the coast
Yeah, I
yet.
haven't yet.
Okay, that's Cannon Beach. That's where they shot the Goonie. Like like the
Okay.
in the movie in the Goonies when they like steal Mikey's brother's like bike and all that, and they just like go out to the try to find When I Willie's like ship
Yeah.
and all that buried treasure. They're pretty much on that beach, and like that's in the background, and he's like holding up that coin, and I don't know if you've ever seen the movie or if you know what I'm talking about, but he's holding up the coin, and those rock formations are like kind of like see through in the coins like holes, and so he's able to be like, oh, this is the direction. So yeah, I mean, like being able to go there and like taking that photo was pretty.
And it's a great shot. Is that like at the horizon? Is that the sun rising?
No, it's the sun setting. So that,
okay, okay.
I'm facing west into the Pacific Ocean.
Right.
So
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, the sun has already set, and at that point, I had already taken photos of that location for sunset, and so I was like, you know what, I want to like kind of stay here for some photos.
Yeah.
The stars, and on my phone, I have an app called Photo Pills, which I freaking love, and I'm able to kind of like track the stars in the Milky Way, and I'm able to be like, okay, this is when the Milky Way will be looking like horizontal 100% at this time.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of plan out like a shoot. I'm like, okay, I want to take photos of the Milky Way, and I'll be there at this exact time because that's what this app is telling me to. And
yeah,
I'll kind of like get out there and I'll kind of like move my phone around and use the virtual reality to kind of like pinpoint where I want to stand, how I want to compose the photo. So that's how I was able to get that photo.
Yeah. So I've seen, so it's one of those things that you can't see obviously in a city or anywhere close to a city, the Milky Way like that. I've seen it a few times. You really have to be like in the middle of nowhere to really see it,
right?
Like away from any lights whatsoever. So
Definitely.
it's so cool to see pictures. It's like it's breathtaking because you're like, it really makes you realize just how small that we are. It really like that's how it makes me feel.
Right, 100%. I totally It seeing like taking like astro photos like that's that makes me feel incredibly like just like all my like worries just kind of go away, just because I'm like, wow, like there's so many, like this is such a vast universe, everything
it really is. There's so many places for you to take a trip to.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there's so many. I've only kind of really traveled within the U.S. and I would love to. I cannot wait to eventually start traveling overseas. So,
what is what would if money weren't a thing, time weren't a thing, what would be your first place to go to overseas, anywhere outside of the country?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's definitely a tough one because
how about a top three? Is that easier?
Yeah, great. Let's do the top three. So one of the top three would be Iceland. My girlfriend and I have like talked about Iceland, she or Norway, she loves Norway. Just that area.
Norway is my 100% number one place that I would go to if money and time weren't it. Oh, 100%. Like it's not even close. I don't know. I just have this fascination with Norway that like I have to go.
I hope you go. I cannot wait for you to go.
I am. This is a bold goal of mine that will. I don't want to say it probably won't happen because that's just like not a good mindset to have. Is to go within 5 years. That is my goal. Is to go to Norway within 5 years. That is. It's. I've just seen so many different pictures from all these different places, and like we were talking about earlier, like there's just something different that you get whenever you're actually there versus just looking up a picture, and it's just like, my God, it's like where I'm at now, like on steroids almost in terms of how pretty it is. I mean, to me. And then there's like the whole aspect where like most people in Norway know English. It's like it's a very well developed nation. I mean, like their national happiness index or whatever. There's like a survey, not a survey, but like a I don't know what to call it, like a poll or like a something that was done that like ranks the countries by like their happiness index, whatever that is. And Norway is like number one for like the past X amount of years and like are predicted to be number one for like the next 15 years or something. And I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it at all. Like it's so unbelievably gorgeous. Talk to anyone that knows me and they'll be like, yeah, his number one place is Norway. Like he wants to go to Norway. He raves about Norway all the time.
My girlfriend wants to go there so badly. And I'm like, for me, it's always been like an Iceland or Norway or New Zealand area is like my top one.
New Zealand would be cool. New Zealand would be cool.
When I mentioned that movie that I love, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, he goes to Iceland, and he's traveling like, out there. And at the time when I was watching the movie, he like the character kind of like longboards out there, and longboarding was kind of like a really big like passion of mine, big hobby that I did out there. So like you said, it resonated with me, and I was like, wow, I want to go to some place like that, Iceland or Norway, New Zealand, where it's like so moody, but there's waterfalls everywhere and it's so green. And it's just so beautiful,
Of course, yeah. For
I would say
sure.
one of the places would be like on my top like 3, as well as like I mean I definitely want to go. Um, I would say one place has always been Hawaii. I actually went with my family to Hawaii this past summer, and that was the
Wow.
first time I've really been on a plane, actually going over the ocean since I was a
Hmm.
kid. I had anxiety medicine for the first time, and it helped, and it was amazing. It was it. I mean, because of that, I was able to realize I can do it. You know, I can
Yeah. How did it look
travel.
out the plane when you were going over the Pacific?
So because of my anxiety being so bad, I
Kept that window down.
I'm like, no, 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 don't, like, don't open that, you know. So I
Yeah.
actually like focus on my like phone or whatever. But when I had my anxiety medicine, I was able to actually like be calm enough to look out the window, especially like like while we're over the ocean. And it was so cool because you could see all these clouds that were at eye level, and then seeing their like shadow on the ocean below. And I was like,
Wow.
wow, that
Huh.
is so beautiful. Like
I,
that is incredible. And
I've never had a plane trip over like a where it's only water, like an ocean, obviously. Like I've never had that experience before.
it's a lot of fun, honestly, and like having like that experience with my anxiety medicine helped tremendously. And then obviously like my favorite part of flying is actually landing because I know it's over.
Yeah.
And the entire like landing process when we got to Honolulu was I was like looking out the window, I was recording my phone, I was like, this is amazing, this is so beautiful, and the plane
Yeah.
was like going like side to side. I was like, I don't care, we're about to get there. Oh, I was so happy.
Yeah.
So happy.
That's really heartwarming to like you were able to kind of like have something that let you know take your anxiety in control and you're able to experience something that you would not have experienced otherwise. Like
Definitely.
that makes me feel so happy to that you were able to experience that because like I've had different bouts with mental illness for my entire life. I'm not going to go into that. It's a very long story. Um,
Another
but
conversation for sure.
but like being having it under control for the past um around 10 months now going is I can relate that it like having that feeling of having it under control and being able to experience these things that you wouldn't normally get to experience is it's kind of like the same thing that we were talking about earlier where like you had kind of like a panic attack while you were on one of your trips and then like that just the difference between where you were there and then like where you were the next moment is like it just elevates it because of the difference. um so that's really cool that you were able to experience that when you wouldn't otherwise and then you're getting to Hawaii, which I'm sure was nothing short of just beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. I've
Definitely.
never been. My mother has been. I've never been. I'm sure at some point in my life I would love to go. But I would
Do
definitely, if I'm going overseas, like I'm gonna be going to Norway first. Like I'm
it.
not. I'm going to go to Norway first over Hawaii.
That's
Um,
amazing.
let me pull up another picture and see which
All
this
right.
one is. This one I love this picture because I would love to know where this is. Let me send it
Okay.
to you.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. That's a Great Sand Dunes National Park in Colorado.
That's
Actually,
so cool to like see like desert sand and then behind it like a grassy like start of a mountain into like a snow peaked mountain. Like
right?
that's really
It,
cool to me.
it is beautiful. Yeah, no, it's tremendous. So basically, like all that sand is like pretty much like a sediment. Like it's like washed down from the mountain. So
Okay.
all that's been washed down from like all the rainfall, all the water coming down when it rains
Yeah.
to that sand dune. So that place is pretty special. It's tremendous. And like
It's a
that
really
photo
cool
is
shot. It's a really cool shot. Just like it shows like I like it because it shows like the difference between the two landscapes almost. That's what I like about it.
I don't know if you actually know this, but like if you zoom in on the photo, like pretty much on the edge of the sand dune, if you zoom in pretty close, you'll see two people hiking
I
up to the sand,
actually did it's like right in the middle of the sand, right?
exactly, right in
See,
the middle of the sand.
the first time I looked at it, I was like, is that two people or is it just like or is it or I didn't know if it was like actually that far or if
Right?
it
Yeah.
was like just two specks within the sand. I'm so glad you brought that up because it was a genuine question that I had whenever I looked at the photo the first time. I was like, it looks like two people, but I don't know if it's actually that far away. So that's awesome
Yeah,
that it
no,
actually is.
legitimately two people. And like the funny thing is, I actually hiked all the way on top of the sand dunes, and I like was hating life because I was so out of breath. The high elevation was kicking my ass, and like I felt like literally like an ant, you know, climbing up these sand dunes, and then like coming out of the national park, I like was like, you know what, I want to take some last minute photos as I'm leaving, and I was able to get people who looked like just like tiny ants climbing up the same route that I took, and I was like, wow, that's how I looked. Right on, awesome. And it was like kind of like a feeling of accomplishment, and like that trip itself was pretty special to me because, like I said, like a lot of my trips I've gone with just me and my dog, and this was one of the first trips that I was able to actually take my dad along with me. And my dad he's a really big reason for me always wanting to travel. He took my family on road trips since I was a kid, whether it be California, Florida, wherever, and he like can drive nonstop without sleep, and
what a madman.
Right, what a madman for sure. But being able to finally take him, on a trip with me, and kind of like as an adult, and like kind of like experience something like that I love to do, and we also love camping and being outdoors. So that was fantastic, being able to share that experience and going to some special place. That was my first time going, so it was amazing to experience it with my dad.
100%. That's really cool. So like it kind of came full circle a little bit, where like he's a big inspiration that kind of led you to having that, and then being able to kind of have one of your trips include him is kind of going full circle. That's really cool. So I'm curious. Go ahead, finish.
Sorry, and especially now because as he's getting older, he's got diabetes, and like one of his like knees is pretty bad, so he can't go on hiking adventures as like he used to, or like I do. So a lot of my photos, like he's like a big reason why I take photos. My dad and my grandma and like one of my best friends, Richie, like I've always been like big inspirations. I would go take photos. To not just for myself, but like also like to show people that I loved that weren't able to go on these long hikes or on these adventures, and being able to come back like, here, I thought of you when I took this photo, and you're like, they're always with me. The people that aren't able to go with me, they're always with me when I go travel. So that's a really big
it just harkens back to giving these people those experience. I didn't know Richie that well. I knew his sister Alexis. I knew her a little bit. I went to the same college as her for the first 3 semesters at UTD. And so I knew her a little bit, but I knew that you and Richie had a pretty good relationship because I saw pictures all the time of you two. Even so, just like not knowing him is just it's always very sad to see someone so talented, just even if he wasn't talented, just like he had a very big heart from everything that I saw, and just taken too soon. I mean, that's all you can say. Just it's like it's heart-wrenching. It really is. I mean, I kind of followed it even though I didn't really know him, just because I knew someone that was getting affected by it, and just like seeing, I saw how he was before that whole thing started happening, and then whenever like it really first started to show, but it wasn't like full on, whenever he could still like really walk still, and it was really only affecting like part of him, and then seeing that kind of deteriorate to where he couldn't walk really at all. It was very hard to see, just because I knew how much it was affecting those around him, and I know that it was affecting you, and also like anytime that I saw like you talk about it, or just seeing a picture of you guys together, I was like, man, I knew this dude in high school. I knew I knew you because we had a music theory class together in high school. I never had a class with Richie, but I just knew of him. So it was very tough to see, and I always hate to see that because he had a lot to give that he was unable to give. So we just kind of have to, especially with you knowing him as well as you did, you kind of just have to you use what you do currently, through him almost, like, or you do it partially for him, and it's like that kind of adds a whole nother element to it. But yeah, that was very tough to see, but I'm glad that you were able to kind of give those around you, like him, those experiences before he passed away. That's obviously a very special thing that is tough to do. And I'm sure obviously he's not the only one that you give that to. So that's really cool that you continue to do that, and it's going to keep growing and growing, and that's going to be amazing as it continues on. Yeah, no, definitely. The next picture that I have here, I think it's from the same place. It's a picture of your dog Bentley.
Oh, okay, yeah, most likely.
It's this one.
Oh, yep, same
place. I love that picture so much. It makes your dog look like a freaking badass. Not that he's not, but like it makes him look like a real big badass. He's like, this is my sand.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, no, that's when we were on top of those dunes,
Yeah.
and like I was feeling like we were feeling like ants, and I was trying to catch my breath, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take photos of my dog, and I was like, I can like lay down at a far distance. I would walk away, and I'd be like, okay, Ben, come here, and like walk towards me, and I would snap some photos, and yeah, that
it's such a good shot. Like there's no like I'm sure that you have a pretty damn good camera because there's like really no motion blur on it that much at all. It's very clear throughout the whole thing. And it's like portraited around Bentley to where like the background is like slightly blurry, but like almost on purpose to kind of give like the aspect of Bentley in front. And it really puts a focus on like, the condition that he has with his eyes being different colors, but like it makes it look so pretty. It makes it look so beautiful with that shot.
Yeah, but you're a pretty girl.
Yeah.
It's great.
Very, very pretty. All right, let's go to get that one away, and let's go to this one right here. Yes, this one. All of these are just absolutely gorgeous. This is the next one I have up.
Okay, so same location.
Wow.
Those are still the same standings.
Just from a different vantage point.
Yeah, it's a different vantage point. So basically, the first photo was me driving away, and I was like, oh wait, I told me, I was like, hey, I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna get out of the road and just take some photos, and I was like, cool. Second one was while I was in the the national park, and the third photo is after I've already taken the first photo that you posted, that you showed. I was driving further and further away. I was like, I still kind of want to take more photos. I just can't stop. These mountains look cool. The sand dunes look so tiny, and like that was just kind of just a cool, like kind of like came full circle. I was able to show the sand dunes as big as they were and as small as they like look towards with the mountains in the back. So
yeah,
I was able to, and also like get photos of being in the sand dunes. So that was kind of a cool experience for sure.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. We had back to back the same place. That's a really cool one. Let's see. All right, this has to, I mean, surely this is not the same place. You'll see what I'm talking about. Right. This is a really cool shot too.
Okay, thank you.
I think this one I think might be. I think this one I'm like torn because so many of them are just absolutely fantastic shots. This is definitely one of my top 3 though.
Thank you, appreciate that. That was for my trip to Hawaii this summer.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that was on the Stairway to Heaven, haiku stairs.
It's actually called the Stairway to Heaven.
It is called the Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, do you know how elevated you are there?
Honestly, I have no idea, but it's a lot of steps, and it's definitely a challenge getting way up there.
It literally looks like those railings were just bought at like the dollar store or something and just placed there, and they look like they're about to fall over. I would not trust that railing with my life.
Like some of the steps were like rusted all the way through to where like
God.
somewhere and like you feel the entire thing shake, and you're like, oh shit,
no way.
And kind of just like keep on going through. That was terrifying, and like I was with my brother and my cousin and a friend that we made out there. She's a native to Hawaii, so she was like able to show us how to get there and safely and all that, and it was tremendously like just a beautiful experience. And that's something that I love because I was able to experience with my brother.
Yeah.
Now lives in Los Angeles, so I don't get to see him or hang out with him as often. And one of my cousins who lives in El Paso, and growing up, me, my brother, and my cousin from El Paso would always hang out whenever we'd visit. So it was great, as adults being able to just have another experience together, something that we will always remember, going to Hawaii and climbing the Stairway to Heaven, for sunrise. So
that is, I mean, it's such a cool shot where you're like right kind of like at the edge and you're just up a few steps from the edge, and then you see the entire like just ground level way past it in the background is so beyond beautiful. Like, oh my goodness. Is that pretty close to the top?
I would say halfway. Like
halfway?
I would say about halfway, because like from there we just kept on going higher. And like this is a staircase that's literally on the mountain ridge, like on the ridge of the mountain. So basically like just kept going up higher and higher and higher to the very top. And then I mean, when we got to the very top, we were in the clouds, so like it was insane. It was cold. It was windy, rainy. You
Yeah.
could not see steps in front of us because of how just like the cloudy it was. And but I mean, we were able to make it up there.
Were
Yeah, it
you
was.
able to get any like good shots from the highest point that you got to?
To be honest, no, because it was kind of like
Just because of the
it looked like
clouds?
yeah, it just looked like a blank sheet of paper because
Damn.
just all the clouds. But
That's
as we're
such a
coming down here,
shame.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but I mean, at the same time, it's part of the experience. You know, you're never fully in control, and that's
That's
something that
true.
I learned to love a lot because having anxiety, I kind of always want to be in control. But learning and going on these trips and learning that I'm not always in control has definitely helped me, you know, cope with that. Just
Yeah, and it lets you kind of like even if you're not in control, you're like, I'm still gonna find the beauty in it.
exactly,
That's a good point. That's a really good point. That's a good
exactly.
point.
Because I mean, I was on top, and I mean, obviously, I was not with like you know like I mean, I was like not by myself, so I was with some very special people, and I was like,
Yeah.
able to still experience that. And me and those three people have that same exact story no one else does, you know, for that
Yeah.
time that. So yeah.
And I have this one. This one shits freedom to me.
Okay, so that was a
Yeah.
pretty special trip. That's in Arkansas.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
That site's in
exactly.
Arkansas. That's actually kind of surprising.
Right? I mean, looking at that photo, like I never like actually like going there. If I just saw that
Yeah.
photo, I'd be like, that's not Arkansas.
That's not
But that
Arkansas.
right? That is Arkansas. That's actually on Hawksbill Crag, or its other name is Whitaker's Peak,
Okay.
Whitaker's Point. And that girl that took a photo, she's a friend that I literally met online.
Wow.
Me and some friends were like, hey, let's go to Arkansas. Let's go camping. Let's
Yeah.
just like, you know, just go. And I like made a post on Facebook saying, hey, anyone want to go with me and my friends to Arkansas? And she reached out. She's like, yeah, I'm down. My friends
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
is she real? Like, she's gonna go with three guys that she's never met before to Arkansas. Like, I mean, what a cheesy axe murderer. Like, okay.
Yeah.
So we went, and she like, you know, literally we met her the day that we drove out to Arkansas, and
Wow.
she had never gone camping and never really kind of like gone on one of these kinds of trips before. So this is to her, this is kind of like for her, this is like her grand adventure. This is her first experience
Yeah.
of road tripping and all that. So for me, it was pretty special being able to like have someone be part of someone's first adventure experience like that, you know.
Oh,
And
100%. Yeah, I mean, you're introducing this person to basically the world that you're in love with right now. And
exactly, yeah,
that site's really, I mean, look, it's like all these, mountain perches which are just covered in trees, but then you're on one that is just it's rock. And like
exactly.
you have such a clear view all the way to the end. It's very, very, I mean, that's you find that's what I like about some of your photography is like you find these vantage points that like if you look at it kind of like objectively, you see these little things um, that you like. There are things that you're doing with your shot that are definitely on purpose that could go unnoticed, and
Thank you.
so I really appreciate those things in some of your shots. But that's a really
Exactly.
cool thing to hear. Like to put these stories behind these pictures is really cool for me because I've been working on this podcast trying to just think of all of these things to talk about with your pictures and stuff, and to look at these for as long as I have and to hear the stories behind them is really, really cool.
Wow, thank you. And like, actually, a really cool story with this. You know how I was always saying something bad kind of always happens on one of my trips.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, this is kind of like the complete opposite. Like, this is probably one of the most surprisingly amazing trips I've had. Like, and it was just to Arkansas. Like, this photo is maybe like a good
Mm,
like 6-7 hours from like where I live. You know, so
right.
able to like go on a short little trip with some friends for like a weekend out to Arkansas was pretty great because it was her first experience camping, and we camped literally like maybe like 20 to 30 feet from where she's standing. So we're like all set up our tents
Hmm.
camping like pretty much like right behind where that photo was taken.
Wow.
And yeah, so we're able to, that was our view. So that night, you know, obviously I didn't do any planning. I just wanted to get out of Texas. I wanted to get out of Dallas
Hmm.
and just camping. And so I had no idea. I didn't do any of the planning I normally do as far for a photography like road trip, you know.
Right.
So I had no idea. if like the Milky Way was gonna be showing or what conditions it was gonna be like. I just wanted to get out, just to get out, you know. But like it ended up, you know, we were all sitting on that ledge, being able to see the Milky Way rise over the horizon, and kind of like peak and then kind of like fall back down. And as we're like staring at all these stars, you know, sitting on the ledge, all these stars, it was pitch black, there was no moon, so beautiful. And then out of nowhere, I like started, I looked down into the valley below, where all those mountains are.
Yeah.
And I realized I saw a lot of twinkling lights. I was like, what is this? What the fuck? I was like, this is not normal. Then I realized it was an entire valley of fireflies.
Wow.
Yeah, an entire
That's
like
sick.
all of that, in that photo, all of what she's seeing is being lit up by nothing but millions and millions of fireflies.
Wow.
Like, yeah.
That's like, I can't even imagine how that looks in the moment. Like, so it was basically like as if that picture, the entire background, you just see these like sparkling lights.
Yes, and like
That's
the Milky
sick.
Way, like right over.
Wow.
And like, the crazy fun thing part about that is she actually had a lightning bug tattoo on her. She's like, yeah,
Wow.
lightning bug.
She brought it with her.
She brought it with her.
She 100% brought it with her.
100%. And like for me, whenever I've actually like gone on a trip or whenever I'm hiking, I always just every time I see fireflies, it's kind of like my way of being like, oh, cool, like, you know, like I'm being watched, like as in a good way, you know, like like, you know, something like, you know, like nothing bad's gonna happen because I'm living my life, and fireflies are kind of like my signal that everything's fine, you know, in life.
I totally get that. No, that totally makes sense to me. That's really cool. Like I still can't even fathom what that must have looked like with the fireflies. That sounds
Honestly,
actually amazing.
It was beautiful, and like it's funny because like later that night, after like the fireflies and the stars and all that, we all went to bed, and we all woke up to the sound of a bobcat like growling outside.
Oh shit!
So my friend who's in the photo, she's like, you know, her first time camping, and she's like, JP, what is that? I'm like, it's a bobcat. And my friends are like, no, it's a mountain lion. I'm like, no, it's a bobcat.
It may or may not be something that could eat us.
Basically, and like it was so funny. But I mean, all in all, that road trip was so much fun, and it was such a great experience. And like, yeah,
that's cool to know that at least one of your trips out of all of them have been it just ended as nothing short but good things, only good things. Yeah, so that's really good.
And I mean, honestly, like every trip I've had has always been an amazing trip, regardless of whatever happens, if it's negative.
Yeah.
Or always an amazing trip to me because I mean, I'm living it, I'm experiencing it, I'm doing the adventure. You know, I'm actually living that life, and that's, you know, whether it's having an infection on my leg that I have to go home early, I'm still alive. You know.
Yeah.
That's part of the adventure, you know.
Damn right, you're still alive.
Sure.
That's I totally get that. All right, let's see what the next one here holds for us.
All right.
Let's see. I'm curious as to how you got the angle that you got.
Okay, well, actually, if you see the I guess like in the very bottom center of the photo, the car, that's my car. That's my little Subaru. That's when I first got to Oregon, or not really necessarily first got to Oregon, but when I got to Oregon on my trip last year, the very first photo I got in, I guess I want to say, what is it, the Willamette National Forest? Is that how you pronounce it, Willamette?
That sounds about right. I'm not. Don't quote me on that, but it sounds right.
Okay, I was in that national forest out there, and it just started to rain, but I was like just amazed how beautiful it was because you know, after driving all these hours of, you know, going through all these different states and just dreaming of what Oregon looks like, I was like, I want to see what it looks like, and so I was able to, you know, get my drone and I started flying it up, and I was like,
okay,
wow,
that's how you got the shot. Okay.
that car, I'm standing right there in my car or whatever, and I just took a photo, you know, with my drone, just send it up. Even I was like, you know what, I don't care if it's raining, my drone, if it can handle it, it can handle it. If it can't, then it is what it is, you know. I might as well risk it at least just to see what it looks like. And I'm glad I did because.
Oh, I mean, look at what you shot with it. I mean, it's unbelievable shot. I mean, like you get an angle that you would not get otherwise.
Right.
Do you ever get scared whenever you use your camera with your drone? Like, what if I crash the drone, or what if it falls off the drone?
100%. Well, the thing is, the drone has its own camera, so I've never risked my actual camera.
Gotcha.
The drone has its own camera, so it's kind of like my secondary camera.
Gotcha.
Secondary shot. And actually, funny story is I was playing my drone, I want to say a few months ago, and I crashed it. And I need to have a part of it like replaced. Otherwise, right now it's unable to fly and actually take videos. So yeah, I don't have a drone at the moment, but working on getting that.
To get more shots like this one. I mean, that is really cool. The like the little wisps of the cloud that you see.
Right? Yes.
Like I actually saw that the other day, like 2 or 3 days ago. It was like that along, like it was basically like hugging like the tops of the mountains, the mountain range that I pass by every day. It was like hugging the top of it, and it was the first time I had seen it like that. I've seen the clouds like pretty low, but it was literally like strands of cloud like hugging the mountain, which was really, really cool to see. So that's cool to know that this shot is basically where I live now. Do you know about how far it is from Portland? Is it pretty close?
You know where Eugene is? It's
about an hour or two away. Like an hour or two away.
It was next to Eugene.
Okay, so it's I think it's south of Portland. I'm pretty sure. That's where. I think so. The girl Kyra that I'd stay with, one of my longtime best friends, she is thinking about going to grad school, which is in Eugene. So,
oh no way!
Yeah,
nice.
So that's really cool. So now, if she does that, then I'm gonna have to come visit, and we're gonna have to go see this shot.
You have to.
I definitely have to. I mean, it's so unbelievably pretty. Like the road feels so tiny compared to everything else.
Right, and I was like driving on this road, like winding back and forth through like the mountains and the trees, and I was like, I need to see what it looks like from up there, you know. So I was like,
I'm so glad you did.
Dude, thank you. Yeah, me too, for sure.
That is definitely crazy. What is the next one I have here? I think this one. So I've gone back and forth between the shot that I said was like in my top 3, the Stairway to Heaven one, and this one. Let's see. This one is just so. I don't know how much editing that you did with this one to make the colors pop more, but like whatever you did, kick ass. But yeah, where did this one happen?
That's actually, let me think. That's in Oregon.
Yeah. I knew it had to be in Oregon with the waterfalls that it was.
Yeah, exactly. 100% Oregon. I'm trying to remember the name of the falls. I want to say, what, is that Proxy Falls? I want to say it could be.
It's definitely one that I haven't been to.
Yeah, no, dude, you have to go to this. This is hands down my favorite waterfall.
Is it close? Is it like on the same road as like Multnomah Falls and the rest, or is it somewhere else?
I would say it's somewhere else.
Okay.
Let me look. I have all these like locations saved on my
Proxy Falls, like Proxy, like proxy.
Yes.
This one is. I think it is between.
Yeah, Proxy Falls.
I think my top 3 of your photos are this one, just because the colors are incredibly vibrant, and you somehow were able to make running water look as smooth as you made it look, and that's not easy to do.
No, actually, I mean, like it's fairly easy. All I have to do is just do a longer exposed photo. So basically, the photo is maybe like what 2-3 seconds long. The challenging part was that's me standing there, so I had to like take the photo, run up all those rocks onto that slippery log, and stand there, you know, perfectly still, and have the camera like take the photo, because like I don't have like a remote, you know, shutter.
Sure.
I had like a 10-second timer, so I had to like click it, run as fast as possible, get up the, and then and like I did this like I would say maybe a couple times, because I would take the photo and then I would get on the log, but I would be on like too far forward or too far back.
Sure.
And so I had to like remember exactly where I was to get to the log. But yeah, no, this Proxy Falls, it's just east of Eugene. So if you go down south from Portland to Eugene, and then make a make a left onto the 126. And just kind of go down. It's like right there, and like I want to say there's a few there's a few waterfalls around, and there's some hot springs as well. It's the Willamette National Forest. So
okay, so it's the same location as the last shot with your drone.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, it's really lucky that I'm pulling these photos. Like they're all grouped together perfectly somehow.
Oh, I know, and I love it. Like, that's cool.
I think like if I had to choose one, I think this would be my favorite one, because like the shot is really good. As someone who doesn't know photography that well, I thought it was complicated, but obviously, like, you know your shit, so it's not complicated for you, thankfully. But I love the shot because the colors are super vibrant, but it also because you're in it, so it's like a personification of you experiencing your passion.
Definitely.
That's what I love about this photo. I think that's why it's my favorite one, is because it really shows you being in your element. That's what I love about it.
Yeah. Thank you. And like honestly, I think in this photo, I think I've uploaded this onto my Instagram, and
Yep.
I think my caption was pretty spot on with how I feel about this. It's a very special one to me because I think I talked about in my caption was that if anything were to happen to me, like if I passed away, this is a photo of how I want to be remembered as, far like 2,000 miles away from home, completely
Yeah.
just alone with my dog, chasing my dream, whether it's photography or just traveling or experiencing life,
Yeah.
doing what I love, just this is how I would love to be remembered.
Oh, of course, 100%. I mean, I totally get that. I totally get that. I think that I have. Do I have one more? No. So the last one I have, I'm gonna put your beautiful face up here. It's one of your self portraits,
Okay.
and this is the one that I had on my splash screen. And this is the last one that I have. I want to know where this one happened because it is a great shot because it's a very well, it's a I don't know the word I'm looking for. It's a very good, just it kind of just captures a lot of you looking into the distance of like what's my
All
next,
right.
or it's either like what's my next adventure going to be, or I'm here, I'm embracing all of this, I'm not even worrying about like the picture getting taken, I'm in my own element type of thing.
All
So
right.
where was this one taken?
Okay, so you're gonna be shocked, and it's a really funny story. I don't know. Do you know Kenny Pham? He went to school with us.
I the name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's also another like fantastic photographer in the Dallas area. He took that photo of me
Okay.
in a Starbucks parking lot.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Dead serious. Off of George Bush and Renner. So
That's in Texas off of George Bush and Renner. You gotta be joking me.
yeah, I'm dead serious. Like literally, I was hanging out with him and our friend Dalton and Bentley, of course, and
Yeah.
we're just at Starbucks drinking some coffee and hot chocolates, and they both had their cameras, and I did not. I guess like I don't know, for whatever reason, I just didn't have my camera with me,
Yeah.
and like you want to do a challenge where we like try to like make it seem like you're just like not in like a parking lot. I'm like, let's do it. Let's take some photos, and literally, like I guess like those like tall grass bushes that you find in like parking lots.
Yeah.
Kenny was like, hey, stand in here. I'm like, okay, cool. So I stand in here. He's like, okay, like so look around like you're like looking at like a really pretty place that you've been to. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. And it's like stood there and I like it's like pretending I was like out somewhere I'd rather be, rather than Texas. And then he got the photo and then he like sent it to him. I'm like, well,
Shout out to Kenny.
yeah, shout out to Kenny.
Shout
Like
out
no
to
kidding.
Kenny. All
Yeah,
right,
he's a
man.
fan
Yeah,
for sure.
that's really cool. So we'll wrap up here. I'm gonna have you talk about your stuff here in a second. I kind of want to end it with you talking about your stuff. But if anyone wants to follow any of my social media, it's going to be Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch is going to be all at GilgaGaming, and then Instagram is going to be the Gilga Podcast, centered all around the podcast future episodes. JP, tell me or tell everyone what your Instagram is, and then afterward, I want you to talk about. I saw recently on one of your Instagram posts that you were talking about like all your photo shoots and how you book those out. Tell anyone watching all about that in case they want to get in on that.
All right, awesome. My Instagram is my full name, John Paul Rivas. I honestly love to travel, so I mean, if anyone wants photos done, whether it's photos of you out in nature or photos of you and the significant other, or just you and your dog, hit me up. I would probably be down to drive all the way to like New York, Idaho, Canada. I have a passport. I will take photos of it.
I have a
So,
passport.
I totally have a passport, and I've been wanting to go to Canada. So, I mean, give me a reason
You're
to travel,
serious.
and I'm down. I'm in for sure.
So like you actually I saw you were pretty well booked through the next month. You only had really like what like
Yeah,
late
all
later
of
in the week.
August was pretty booked, and it was pretty fun. Like that was probably like one of the busier months this year for sure. Like with photo shoots, because like for the most part, I have a lot of my own trips, like my own like
Yeah.
photos out with my dog or whatever, or on travels. But this is like a good month of just taking photos of other people for senior photos or couples, and
Sure,
it's been
sure.
like I'm already starting to get like I guess like booked up in September. I have let's see, I already have another senior photo shoot down, and I have a few couples. So Pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I saw one. You had just posted one about like a couple that had just gotten engaged, right?
Yes, my friend Justin. He's
Yeah, I saw those. I saw those, and I was like, so it's really cool. Like you're literally adding on to like your passion right now of like traveling, doing photography, and like now you're turning it into like so to speak a business outside of even Instagram, where you're like, I can shoot your shots, and I'm like, you can see my portfolio. It's really good. I can do all this, and now you're expanding it with like people in it, like other people, like couple shots and stuff like that. So like really adds to your portfolio. So that's really cool.
definitely my goal
Yeah,
is I would love to take as great photos as possible of people in really pretty places that I've traveled to. So, I mean, I'm trying to get familiar with all these really beautiful places. So whenever
yeah,
someone wants a cool portrait done, I'm like, you know what? I know just a spot. If you're willing to travel, let's go. Let's do it. Let's
for
take some
sure.
photos.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I will, and I'm going to include all the social media links whenever I post this on YouTube in the description section. Anyone in the Texas area or anywhere, according to John Paul here, want to hit him up for some great shots, you can check out his Instagram. Again, that was at John Paul Rivas. Look at all of his stuff. Definitely book him. Great dude. Very, very genuine dude. And yeah, I think we are all wrapped up here, John Paul. It has been an absolute pleasure talking and seeing you again. We next time you're in the Pacific Northwest, you got to hit me up, and we'll do some of those places that I've been wanting to check out for a while.
100%, absolutely.
Yeah,
Got it. I'll let you know next time I'm out there. We'll hang out. We'll make
definitely
a
do.
picture.
Definitely do. That's awesome. All right, guys, we are out of here. Anything else you want to say before we log off here?
No, I'm good. Bentley's passed out, so I'm thinking about doing the
Yeah, I
same.
know it's pretty late on your time, but I appreciate a lot of cool things that we talked about. But we will we'll catch you all next time, and we'll do another episode with John Paul here in the future. Okay.
Thanks, buddy.
See you guys.
Appreciate it.